I spent 60 years in devoted companionship with Qing Lin. I thought he was aloof by nature, a man not given to smiling. It wasn't until after my death that he, at the age of 86, married his first love, the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes blossoming with joy, a century of earnest longing, 6 decades spent apart. The blessings of countless literati only served to make my entire life seem utterly ridiculous. Thus, upon my rebirth, I chose to no longer be the stumbling block for this star-crossed couple. 1. I died at the age of 82, a venerable old age. The mourning hall was filled with kneeling filial descendants, and all the surrounding relatives and friends were deeply sorrowful. Only my husband, Qing Lin, remained as aloof and detached as ever. From the time I first knew him as a child, he wore that same indifferent expression, as if nothing in the world could stir his emotions, and for the next 60 years, that is exactly how he was when giving birth to our first son. My narrow pelvis and the baby's large size led to a difficult labor. The nurse called the family to say their final goodbyes. My mother was beside herself with grief, weeping and wailing, utterly at a loss. Qing Lin, however, stood by expressionlessly, like a detached outsider. Sweat stung my eyes, and through the blur, I saw that tall, straight-backed figure turn and walk away. In the end, I pulled through. I asked him why he wasn't the least bit worried. He frowned and said, "Do I have to?" Were every emotion on my face. "You're being so shallow." Mother tried to console me. "He's a man of great ambition, used to being composed. You're his wife. Of course he worries about you." "But mother, you're wrong. When he's with Qing Yao, he becomes a completely different person." 6 months after my death, surrounded by colleagues, he held a bouquet and asked Qing Yao to marry him. The joy and anticipation on his face pierced my soul like a dagger. Countless media reporters scrambled to cover this love story of the century, reunited after 60 years, a century of heartfelt longing. The red candle rekindles first love's flame. 60 years of separation. No letter can convey this song of yearning. 60 years of longing. Then what am I supposed to be? I wonder if I racked up too much karmic debt in my past life. Just repaying it while alive wasn't enough. Even as a ghost, I'm chained to Qing Lin's side, forced to listen to the well wishes people shower upon them. My eldest son, whom I struggled to bring into this world, is now 58. The look he gives his father is filled with nothing but contentment and blessing. Dad and Auntie Qing can finally be together as they were meant to be. My little granddaughter's eyes lit up as she chattered away in words I couldn't understand. From the beginning to the end, it was always you two. Oh my God, another ship I'm obsessed with has sailed. Everyone was overjoyed. Celebrating this wedding of the century, I watched as Qing Yao moved into the home I'd lived in for 60 years, taking down my photos, discarding my belongings, and slowly erasing every trace of my existence. Even the children I raised with my own hands, when they speak of me, can only manage a sigh. Mom and Dad's marriage was a mistake from the start. If only Dad had married Aunt Qing instead, things would have been so much better. In the end, a lifetime of my toil and sacrifice was dismissed as nothing but a mistake. How utterly ridiculous. If I could do it all over again, I would never tie my life to someone who wasn't worth it. 2. When I regained consciousness, I had gone back to being 18. In my hand was a letter from Qing Lin, sent from Tsinghua University. The handwriting was a messy scrawl, clearly dashed off in haste, yet in my past life, I had treasured it like a precious jewel. I stuffed the half-opened letter back into its envelope. I didn't need to read it. I knew its contents by heart. Qing Lin and I were childhood friends. You could say. He was 4 years older, we were neighbors, and our relationship was neither particularly good nor bad. He had always been a top student since childhood, consistently ranking at the top of his class. Combined with his tall, handsome looks, he was once the object of admiration for all the young girls in the village. I was no exception. I fell for him when I first discovered love, but he was aloof to everyone. After getting into university, he didn't even come home for 4 years. The sentiments of my girlhood were gradually buried under the weight of my studies. Those unspoken feelings, like trains on the wrong tracks, were destined to head toward their separate ends. But that sudden letter changed my life. In the letter, Qing Lin said he was about to graduate and planned to return to his hometown to start a school, fulfilling his childhood dream. After pages of flowing script, the handwriting grew heavier at the end. He asked me if I was willing to join hands with him and move forward together. The love buried deep in my heart could no longer be contained. Erupting like a volcano, a surge of immense joy welled up in my heart. I wanted nothing more than to run to him and say I do. As I read on, my heart grew uneasy once more. Qing Lin said establishing the school would require a tremendous amount of effort, and if I went off to university, we would be separated. Looking back now, that letter I once mistook for a confession was nothing more than a selfish Despicable person testing the waters, testing just how far I would go for him in the end. My actions pleased him immensely. For the college entrance exam, I feigned illness and turned in a blank paper. A tap on my shoulder jolted me from my reverie. Honeying, her hair in 2 braids, leaned forward from the desk behind. Who's the letter from? I smiled and tucked it into my school bag. My uncle from the provincial capital sent this. He invited me to visit him. Honeying clapped her hands in admiration. Teacher Zhang always said that if you performed consistently, you'd definitely get into a university in the provincial capital. I knew Teacher Zhang had high hopes for me in my past life. After I handed in a blank exam, Teacher Zhang came to my house several times. Unfortunately, I was so immersed in my world of helping in Qinglin that I simply couldn't listen to her advice about retaking the exam. A wave of complex emotions washed over me. A breeze from the window rustled the pages of the book on the desk. Flipping it open to a specific page, in the center was a single line of large text: "Ride on the steed of dreams, and live up to your youth." That was the blessing I gave to my 18-year-old self, and the expectation I hold for my 82-year-old self. 3. The college entrance exam went surprisingly well. The questions were much simpler compared to those 60 years later. And it's all thanks to the fact that I never stopped pushing forward, even in my twilight years. Back then, some people even mocked me, saying that with just a high school education, I could never measure up to Professor in Qinglin, and that I should spend my time dancing in the square instead. Everyone had forgotten that I was once a talented woman, spoken of in the same breath as in Qinglin. After estimating my score, I resolutely wrote Tsinghua University as my first choice. I never wrote back to in Qinglin in this life. Unable to contain himself, he sought me out the moment he returned to our hometown. "Wang Qian, what's your problem?" His stern eyes were filled with impatience. Even though he was the one who came to me, he made it seem like I was the one giving him a hard time. I took a few steps back. "I don't know what you've misunderstood. Consider that letter as never received, and please don't bother me again." He looked at me, his expression one of stunned disbelief. Having lived with him for decades, I knew him well enough. He never acted without being certain of the outcome. Since he sent me that letter, he must have been sure I'd take the bait. For a sure thing to go so unexpectedly wrong, no wonder he was shocked. After a moment of silence, his expression softened. "Don't be willful. The children's education is what matters." Is this emotional blackmail? I wondered uncertainly. So what? My education isn't important. I gave a mocking smile. There are plenty of teachers in town. They don't need a high school student like me adding to the crowd. Besides, I'm about to start university soon. His expression didn't change, but his eyes held a trace of disdain. "What decent university could you possibly get into? If you want to learn, I can teach you myself later." He then asked me which university I had applied to. I shook my head. "Nothing special, just Tsinghua University." And Qinglin told his mother what I said that day, and that big mouth of hers laughed about it for 3 days straight. Now, the whole village knows I'm aiming for the stars by applying to Tsinghua. My mother was so worried she didn't even feel like feeding the chickens. "Your grades are good, but Tsinghua, no way." The gossip hub at the village entrance was buzzing with chatter. In our whole county, only one person got into Tsinghua, and that's the Yin family's genius boy. The Wang family's daughter must be out of her mind. I heard that the Wang girl has a crush on that Yin boy and is applying just to prove a point. And Qinglin's mother came over for a visit, carrying a basket of green beans. She practically dragged me to sit with her in the courtyard. "Don't you worry, dear, if you don't pass the exam, so be it. Just live a good life with Qinglin and give me a few healthy, chubby grandsons." For my mother's face darkened with anger. "Auntie must be confused. My daughter is not promised to anyone." Mother and laughed, slapping her thigh. "Young ladies are shy. Qinglin already told me everything. They pledged themselves to each other. Why else would Chan apply to Tsinghua? Not that she'd ever get in." Of course, as she spoke, she placed the basket of green beans on the table and fished a slender red hair ribbon from her pocket. "I brought you a gift. Qinglin bought this hair tie in Beijing. It's quite the precious find. No matter how many lifetimes pass, I'm always in awe of mother and silver tongue." I took off the delicate red hair flower from my head and exclaimed in surprise, "This thing from Beijing isn't even as good as what we have in town. Brethren, I hope you weren't swindled." Mother and smile faltered. "Oh dear, I must have picked up the wrong one. The important thing is that Qinglin holds you in his heart. The reason for my visit today is to settle the marriage arrangements sooner rather than later, so Qinglin will have someone to look after him." To think she'd come to propose with a basket of rotten string beans. The nerve of her. My mother flew into a rage, brandishing a broom to chase them out. "Take your things and get out of here, now, Mrs." And had a few scratches on her arm and said irritably, If it weren't for your daughter desperately latching onto my son, I wouldn't give your family a second glance. My son is a university student, you know." The wall was crowded with onlookers, and many people outside the gate were straining to listen. I let out a wail and burst into tears. "Everyone in the village knows and Qinglin hasn't been home for years. I've been in school the whole time and haven't even left the town. Saying that, aren't you just pushing me to my death?" An auntie who came to watch the commotion also chimed in. "Yeah, your boy hasn't been back since he went off to college. We all thought he'd forgotten about his own parents. How is he in touch with Chanxian?" she stammered, unable to get the words out. Well, isn't her applying to Tsinghua just her way of showing her feelings for my son? She's even willing to give up her own university plans just to be with him." I wiped away my tears. So many people apply to Tsinghua. Does that mean every single one of them is in love with your son? What makes him so special that I'd throw away my future for him? That incident caused a huge scandal, and our family and the Yin family severed all ties from that day on. 5. Good news stays indoors, but bad news travels 1,000 miles. When Hangying came to hang out with me, she was absolutely furious. "What's so great about Qinglin anyway? He's got those girls wrapped around his finger, and he's been badmouthing you all over the place. I know you only have studying on your mind and wouldn't give him the time of day." I gave a guilty smile. In my past life, Hangying had been exasperated with me countless times, knocking on my head and calling me a fool. I gave up a bright future to be with a heartless man. Back then, I was so intoxicated by Qinglin's talk of building a life together that I wouldn't listen to reason. I gave her shoulder a placating squeeze and swore we would march toward our dreams together. In the sweltering heat of summer, I dragged Hangying to the field to pick melons and cool off. We ran into Qinglin pushing a wooden cart. On his way to clean up the old school, he pushed the wooden cart in front of me and spoke coldly. "If you've come to your senses, come help clear the weeds and trash from the yard within 2 days. I don't know if you have a problem with your brain or your ears. I've told you countless times. I want nothing to do with you." With Hangying present, he felt he'd lost face, and his tone grew angry. "Wan Qian, I've already told you, stay at the school and become a teacher. I can mentor you later. With your abilities, forget about Tsinghua University. You wouldn't even get into an ordinary college. I'm saying this for your own good. Over the years, the female students I've met at this university are all exceptional. They're knowledgeable, sharp, and come from scholarly families. You, on the other hand, only managed to finish high school because of the study materials I left behind, back when he got into Tsinghua University. He promised to leave his high school notes to the school. The school was deeply grateful and even held an assembly to teach the students about repaying kindness. Who would have thought that the moment he left for university, his mother threw a tantrum to get the notes back and sold them at a high price to a high school in the neighboring town. Judging by Qinglin's current demeanor, he seems completely unaware of what his mother has done. His impression of me probably still dates back to a few years ago, when I was sickly, often took leave, and was at the bottom of the class. I didn't want to waste any more words on him, so I took Hangying's arm and walked around him. "Do you think only the privileged elite can get into Tsinghua? You came from the same muddy fields as the rest of us, so quit putting on airs." And Qinglin froze, his face flushing a deep crimson. "You vulgar woman, if you can get into Tsinghua, I'll write my name backwards." I looked up at the setting sun. A flood of crimson light poured forth, illuminating the path back to the village. A long, stretched-out figure appeared at the end of the road, pushing a 28-inch bicycle and running at full speed. "City officials have come to our village," and Qinglin straightened his clothes and hat, his expression calm and composed. "They're here for me. The school's approval must have come through, and the officials are here to allocate the funds." With head held high and chest out, he strode forward to meet them. It happened so fast, I had no time to intervene. The problem is, in my past life, the school never got approved, let alone had any officials visit. 6. Soon, the villagers who heard the news came rushing over with their hose. Mother and stood before the crowd, beaming with delight. "Qinglin building the school is a selfless act for the community's benefit, and it has the full support of the city's leadership. Now, brush the dirt off yourselves. Don't embarrass our Qinglin. She was as smug as a victorious rooster, glancing at me from time to time." Some people are blind and ignorant, strutting around with their noses in the air for no reason. Now that my son has made something of himself, they come crawling back. I looked over to see Qinglin talking to a leader in a mouse suit holding a red flower. His brow was furrowed, and he seemed utterly dejected, lost in her excitement. "Mrs." and didn't notice. She joyfully went over to shake the leader's hand. "My son Qinglin has been determined to serve our country since he was a boy. This time, he came back to our hometown, undaunted by hardship or difficulty, determined to build this school for our town. He works from dawn till dusk, running himself ragged for the school. Look at the calluses on his hands. These are the hands of a scholar. As his mother, it truly breaks my heart to see him like this. The exaggerated performance left the officials exchanging bewildered glances, and Qinglin flushed with embarrassment and silently pulled his mother back, thinking he was just being modest. His mother, exasperated by his lack of initiative, shoved him right in front of the officials. Qinglin, what are you doing? I wasn't finished. You're a top graduate from Tsinghua University. Coming back to build the school is such an honorable thing. I need to have a good chat with the leaders. The man in the Zhongshan suit at the head of the group suddenly understood. So this must be Comrade Qinglin, the young genius who got into Tsinghua University that year. What a brilliant young man. Mother beamed with joy. Yes, that's right. You're here to see him today, aren't you? Actually, no. Mother was taken aback. Then, what brings you here? The man in the Zhongshan suit grinned from ear to ear. Our city produced the top scorer in the province on this year's college entrance exam. We're here to see her. Excuse me, is Comrade Wang Qian here? Mother looked stunned and pressed further. How could Wang Qian be the top scholar? You must be mistaken. They're surely here for our Qinglin. The strange looks from the people around him made Qinglin lose his composure. A rare sight. Enough. I told you to leave. Can't you hear me? Han Ying pushed me to the front. Amidst the chorus of congratulations, I was adorned with a large red flower, a symbol of honor. Comrade Wang Qian, we wish you a bright and prosperous future in the days to come. And may you contribute your strength to our motherland. He handed me several envelopes of varying thickness. This is the reward from the province, the city, and the county. Study hard at university, and don't worry about anything else. I blinked, fighting back tears of emotion. I won't let you down. Having come from a future life and wasted years, getting into university became my obsession across 2 lifetimes. I have come to realize that indulging in elusive, intangible romantic love is meaningless. In this life, my only wish is to dedicate myself to my country. 7. Back at home, my emotions still took a long time to settle. Mother was the same, pacing around the room several times and counting the banknotes over and over. I was prepared to borrow money to put you through college if you got in. Now, thanks to the leader's support, my daughter has really made us proud. Back in those days when everyone was poor, finishing middle school made you an educated person in the village. Getting into university was a rare feat. As a girl, I was only able to make it to high school because of my father and brother working as hired hands. I was the envy of countless young girls in the village in recent years, and Qinglin was the only one in the village to get into university. To fund his education, the Yin family's fortunes took a sharp turn for the worse. Last year, they even had to sell one of their walks. Everyone in the village thought putting a kid through college would clean you out. It wasn't until 10 years into my marriage with Qinglin that I slowly came to realize university back then hardly cost a thing. I counted out a few banknotes and handed the rest to my parents. Let's save up a bit more, get the 3 rounds and a sound so my brother can have a proper, respectable wedding. My brother patted my head with a smile. No rush for me, he said. Your studies are what matter. He's already 21. Guys his age are already holding their second kid. How could he not be in a hurry? I motioned for them to sit down and explained in detail everything I knew about university from my past life. My mother was incredulous. What? No tuition, and they give you $30 a month? How's that possible? The Yin family is so poor. His mother's out stealing vegetables from other people's fields every day. The elderly couple of the Yin family were illiterate. Every time Qinglin sent a letter home, the production team leader had to read it aloud for them. 8 out of 10 letters were just requests for money and ration coupons. Other students couldn't even spend 30 yuan a month and could still save over 10 to send home and improve their family's life. Only he was living hand to mouth. As for where all that money went, Qinglin dared not say. I didn't respond to my mother's doubts. I just told them to rest assured and not to worry about my university matters. As we spoke, a few light knocks sounded at the main gate. Puzzled, I leaned out to look. Outside the courtyard wall stood a slender, elegant figure, hands hanging at their sides. 8. I acknowledge your excellence. You have now earned the right to stand by my side. He said it with a condescending satisfaction, as if bestowing a great favor upon me. Why did you have to fixate on me? Of all people, I had wanted to ask this question all those years I was a ghost. Why be with me if you didn't love me? A lifetime spent eating half-cooked rice. How could I not be bitter? He was growing impatient, his fingers unconsciously rubbing together. Having spent decades with him, I knew this telltale sign all too well. It was his tell when he was about to lie. We grew up together, we know each other inside out. That's why I want to walk this path hand in hand with you. I shook my head. You've never truly known me. Do you know what I like? Do you understand my dreams? Is your idea of walking hand in hand just clipping my wings and trapping me here? He was left speechless. He stared at me for a long, heavy moment before finally forcing the words out. The world outside isn't as rosy as you imagine. You might think you're exceptional, but here at Tsinghua, you're just the tiniest, most insignificant speck of dust. So what if I'm a speck of dust? I don't care how others see me. All I care about is holding on to my own unwavering original aspiration. He tried to say more, but I cut him off. I heard a girl from the city checked into the town's guest house, asking all over for someone named Qinglin. A mix of shock and delight washed over him. He turned and left, his pace quickening with each step until he broke into a jog so he could get flustered too. When I was 50, I fell from the second floor and was at death's door while waiting for the ambulance. I lay on the cold ground, whimpering softly in pain. He sat calmly beside me, grading papers. Professor N, maybe you could put the work aside for now. Aunt Wang really needs someone with her. A neighbor who couldn't stand to watch any longer spoke up. She can't be moved, and I don't know first aid. Might as well make good use of the time and do something productive. With that, he turned away indifferently, not sparing me a single glance even though I knew he felt nothing for me. A pang of bitterness still shot through my heart. Decades of care and companionship still couldn't warm his cold heart. My brother stepped out from behind the door. I'd been in town the whole time. How come I never heard? Who is this girl? I've never seen him so worked up before. I said offhandedly. An old flame, of course, my brother, of course. Hadn't heard the news. Qingyao had come quietly, all by herself, just to see Qinglin one last time, to put a perfect full stop to this chapter of their feelings. When they finally came together 60 years later, and Qinglin held her hand tightly, his heart aching for her. Why didn't I see you? Qingyao's eyes welled up with tears. You were with her at the time. All the courage Qingyao had mustered vanished into thin air the moment she saw me standing side by side with Qinglin. And Qinglin was filled with regret, blaming himself for being with me that day. Then they exchanged a knowing smile and, in perfect unison, began to recite the poem. The light boat has already passed 10,000 mountains. They see me as a trial, an obstacle, even a stain on their lives, blaming all their misfortunes on me, resenting me for getting in the way. Their love, one that moved heaven and earth and transcended time, became a story people loved to tell. I was kept in the dark and deceived my entire life, and even after death, I was labeled as the other woman in their love story. After sailing countless seas, I returned, and it was still you. If not for the original spouse, one can only imagine how happy the two elders could have been. A lifetime of regret recalling those online blessings from my past life. I could only laugh wryly. I won't be a stumbling block in your lives anymore. I'll be waiting to see how your happily ever after turns out. 9. With the new semester approaching, I went to the production team leader to get a letter of certification. He was very happy to see me. Our production team has produced another university student. The leaders praise us at every meeting. Keep up the good work with your studies. He handed over another letter. Perfect timing. Take this to the family boy. Sigh. After all the trouble of finishing university, instead of working hard to build up the country, what's the idea of running off to town every day? Qian, don't you go copying him. These days, and Qinglin became the talk of the team, heading into town before dawn every morning to see that aloof and elegant Qingyao. The two of them paraded around town together every day, without a care for what anyone thought. In this day and age, just a man and a woman walking together alone is considered a rather bold move. When some disapproving onlookers offered their unsolicited advice, Qingyao adopted a haughty stance of the innocent need not explain themselves. And Qinglin and I were university classmates. It's purely platonic. You people with dirty minds see filth everywhere. And Qinglin wouldn't allow anyone to question his goddess and stepped in to confront the gossips. Qingyao is a top scholar from Tsinghua University, born into a prestigious, cultured family. What gives you the right to criticize her? Several hot-tempered aunties and matrons were having none of it. I've never seen such shameless behavior. Clinging to each other like that and calling it pure friendship. Give me a break. And Qinglin, who had tried to block their way, got his face scratched up and didn't dare show his face outside for days. When I arrived at his house with the letter, the door was ajar, and the sound of Qinglin arguing with his mother came from inside. We've spent all that money on her. If you don't coax her over now and make it a done deal, are you not afraid her family will object? And Qinglin said in a mournful tone, No, I have nothing to offer. She's so wonderful and refined, how could I bear to let her suffer with me? I'm not worthy of her. Mother, stop thinking about Qingyao. Wang Qian is perfectly fine, she's tough as nails and can handle all the work, both inside and outside the home. It'll make your life easier. 10. I was so angry I was grinding my teeth, so I'm just destined to suffer. Is that it? I kicked the courtyard gate open and flung the letter right into Qinglin's face. You think far too highly of yourself. Take a good, hard look in the mirror first, a useless good for nothing like you expects me to chase after you. Having returned to my youth, my temper had grown worse and was becoming harder to control. You can't bear to see your sweetheart suffer, so you drag others down instead. What a paragon of virtue you are. The letter came down from the city, rejecting Qinglin's request for a subsidy to build a school, and Qinglin was thunderstruck. Ignoring my sarcasm, he read it over and over. How could they, I, a Tsinghua graduate, have lowered myself to come here? How can they not support me? So what? Just because you sit up there on your high horse, flapping your gums, people are supposed to pour money and effort into your pie in the sky, armchair fantasies. To this day, the chosen abandoned school remains a ruin, with weeds growing taller than the walls these days, and Qinglin has been preoccupied with romance, indulging in sentimental affairs, and lamenting his doomed first love from a past life, completely neglecting his ideals and ambitions. Just think about how, in my past life, I was rooted in that school like an old workhorse, toiling away under the scorching sun until my face was tanned dark and peeling. At night, I'd pore over books and design plans for the school's future, then run around town and the city chasing after officials, practically following them around to describe the school's development plans. It was only through my relentless efforts that I managed to move the city officials, securing the funding and construction that eventually led to the establishment of the first middle school 60 years later. But in this life, without a fool like me to bail him out, and Qinglin drowned himself in romantic escapades and met his end before he could even get started. Never mind how he went around the village complaining about his unrecognized talents and unfulfilled ambitions. I was at home, bustling with activity. I carefully sorted through all the textbooks and exam papers I had used over my 3 years of high school and donated them to the school. With tears welling up in her eyes, Teacher Zhang said, I knew I was right about you. I'll be waiting for your triumphant return after your studies. Carrying the well wishes of countless people, I shouldered my pack and boarded the train bound for Tsinghua University. Compared to the university I would see 40 years later, Tsinghua at this time seemed somewhat humble. The one constant was the bustling crowd of new students at the gate, their faces alight with anticipation and hope. I quickened my pace and stepped into the school actually, and Qinglin wasn't wrong about one thing. Qingyao could truly be considered a Tsinghua University goddess in her youth, at least in terms of her looks. In that era of scarcity, she stood out in a plaid dress, with glossy braided hair and a pair of delicate leather shoes. Petite and fair-skinned, she had the unmistakable look of someone who'd been raised in comfort. After graduation, she stayed on at the university as a teaching assistant, turning heads wherever she went. Even through the crowd, her gaze found me. After checking the student roster repeatedly, she stepped forward with a determined look and blocked my path. You don't need to come here. Qinglin is yours, go back. 11. I was completely baffled and couldn't make head or tail of it. After all the effort I put into getting into university, why should I go back? With an expression of serene understanding, she said calmly, the only reason you worked so hard to get into Tsinghua was to be with Qinglin. Well, let me tell you, Qinglin and I are just close friends. There's nothing romantic between us. You can rest easy now. Their passionate vows to each other were common knowledge across campus, so Qingyao's words truly sent shockwaves through the crowd. A third person had now forced their way into the picture-perfect romance of the campus golden couple. Sensing the curious stares from those around me, I let out a soft sigh. It seemed my fantasy of a quiet, uneventful university life was never going to happen. I set down my luggage and pointed towards the distant Weiming Lake. You should take more walks by the lake, she pouted, her eyes blinking several times. What for? Before I came, I told Qinglin to take a good look in the mirror. Same goes for you. With a mouth that big, I'm afraid it wouldn't all fit in the reflection. Even when she was furious, her expression remained placid. Even though I knew her for decades in my past life, I still couldn't fathom what went through her mind sometimes. Oh well, Qinglin chose her in the end. I just hope he finds happiness. She walked right past me without a glance, her dress swaying in the gentle breeze, giving off an aura of cool, aloof pride. That's what she said. But in the days that followed, whenever she saw me, She would give me this resentful, wounded look as time went on. The rumors and gossip around campus grew more and more widespread. My roommate, Zhang Yan, told me that everyone in the department was saying I had stolen him away, that I had ruthlessly torn apart the perfect couple, and Qing Lin and Qing Yao. Some even went so far as to say my character was flawed, and that no amount of academic success could make up for it. After living together for 2 months, Zhang Yan had gotten to know me a bit. She was convinced I wasn't the kind of person they were making me out to be. All you do is study, study, study. Sometimes I worry you'll disappear into your books, and now they're spreading these lies about you. I couldn't help but pinch her indignant little cheek. Don't pay any mind to that idle gossip. The most important thing for us right now is to focus on our studies. I really admire you. You never get angry, always so calm and composed. It's like you're so much more mature than I am. Well, of course, when you've lived nearly 100 years between this life and the last, how could you not be mature? I've weathered so many storms already. I'm certainly not going to let baseless gossip bother me now. The letter from home arrived right on schedule, as it does every month. I opened it with practiced ease, and then my eyes went wide. The letter was written by my brother. Something major has happened to the Yin family. 12 In the 2 months I was away, and Qing Lin rekindled his dream for the school, working tirelessly from dawn till dusk on its construction. The fresh-faced scholar fresh out of school was soon indistinguishable from the burly men of the production brigade. His parents, hearts aching for him, rushed to help after their own shifts each day, until the whole family was worn to a state of utter exhaustion while demolishing the precarious wall by the gate. Father couldn't get out of the way in time and was completely buried beneath the rubble. By the time the brigade managed to dig him out, he had already stopped breathing. Given the gravity of the situation, a matter of life and death, my parents didn't dwell on past grievances and stepped up to help with the funeral arrangements. Who could have guessed that Mrs. and would misunderstand again? She assumed that, as a young woman, I was too shy to openly express my desire to marry into the Yin family, and that now, seeing them in distress, I had eagerly sent my parents to their door. After the funeral, she limped over to my parents and agreed to the marriage proposal. If Chan comes home early, she can look after me. My mother couldn't help herself and picked up a broom to have it out with her. The whole ruckus was so intense it even got the village chief involved. In his letter, my brother warned me that Qing Lin would be setting off for the school in the next few days and told me to be ready for him. I'm not sure if Qing Lin will actually show up. During those days when my soul followed him, I learned a few of his hidden stories from his youth. For instance, in order to force them to break up, Qing Yao's family gave them an ultimatum. Only one of them could remain at Tsinghua University. If Qing Lin dared to come again, Qing Yao would be sent away to be married off in another city. In his previous life, he didn't return to Tsinghua until more than a decade after his marriage. By then, both of them had already started their own families, and no one bothered to make an issue of it anymore. Just a few days later, Qing Lin came anyway. After the morning class, when the campus was at its busiest, he and Qing Yao stood in the center, holding hands and gazing at each other with tear-filled eyes. Qing Yao, you shouldn't have come. I know, but you came anyway. And Qing Lin gazed at her with deep affection. Just as I couldn't help but miss you, I couldn't help but come find you. Rubbernecking is a timeless pastime. The students who had wandered over were now rooted to the spot, unable to tear themselves away from the spectacle. With a touch of dark humor, I thought to myself that if this were happening 50 or 60 years in the future, someone would probably be live streaming it by now. Seeing the crowd growing, Qing Yao hurried over to push Qing Lin away. Stop thinking of me. It's not worth it. You should live a good life with Wan Qian. And Qing Lin's face was etched with pain. But it's you I love. How can you bear to keep us apart? Qing Yao was deeply moved and murmured, if love between both sides can last for why need they stay together night and day? Her gaze found me in the crowd with pinpoint accuracy. I'm giving Qing Lin back to you. I hope you'll take good care of him from now on. There was just no avoiding it. 13 I walked over to them, and Qing Lin and I have barely even spoken. Why do you have to drag me into whatever is between you two? And Qing Lin said dismissively, don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You don't need to be jealous of Qing Yao. In my heart, you'll never measure up to her. I knew it perfectly well, even without him saying it, whether it was the young, vibrant me in my teens or the me who weathered life's storms with him for 60 years, I could never compare to a single frown from Qing Yao. Just as he said, choosing me was merely a calculation of pros and cons, someone who could support him to the fullest extent in my past life. And Qing Lin also claimed that my only purpose was to take care of the household, freeing him to devote himself to his students without any worries. So even if I dedicated my entire life to the school, in his eyes. I was still just a village woman obsessed with romance. Go home and take care of my mother right now. Don't stay here and bother Qingyao, I said coldly. What makes you so sure I'd abandon my studies and willingly toil away in your shadow? I then turned to Qingyao. Just because he's the perfect partner in your eyes doesn't mean everyone feels the same. You can rest assured, there is absolutely nothing between him and me. If what I'm saying today is a lie, may my future be ruined and my life forever unfulfilled. Everyone present was a high achiever who valued their prospects above all else, which made my words highly credible, and Qinglin was taken aback. How could you not like me? You used to follow me around all the time, and I couldn't even shake you off. I thought about it carefully. He must have been referring to when I was 14 or 15 back then. My grades were poor. To get in Qinglin to tutor me, I'd trail after him every day. I even saved everything for him, the eggs my mother boiled each morning, the candies my uncle sent from the city, and gave them all to him. He never refused a single thing and never stood on ceremony with me. I thought I was special to him too, which is why I was so overjoyed when I received that letter just before the college entrance exams. What I thought was a mutual affection turned out to be nothing but my own wishful thinking. I didn't want to argue with them any further. You remember me following you around. But you should also remember I wasn't the only one chasing after you for study help. I never spent time with you alone. Han Ying and I were inseparable. Every time I went to ask Qinglin a question, she was always right there by my side. It's precisely because he shamelessly accepted all the food I gave him but never took teaching me seriously that Han Ying cursed him as an ungrateful wretch behind his back. Although I haven't been at this school long, I've heard all about your dramatic love saga. I don't know what your game is, trying to drag me into it, but my mind is only on my studies. We've cleared the air about today's incident. If you try to involve me again or slander my reputation, I won't hesitate to use the full force of the law to protect myself. 14. From that day on, the gossip about me at school died down considerably, and the hostility around me lessened a great deal. The only exception was Qingyao. After I cut ties with Qinglin, she actually grew to hate me on the rare occasions we crossed paths. She made no attempt to hide the resentment in her eyes. You abandoned Qinglin and ran off, betraying someone who truly cared for you. You'll regret it for the rest of your life. I could only bury my face in my hands in exasperation. Both of them were lost in their own worlds, as if everyone else was expected to revolve around them. You'd be better off spending this time with Qinglin. His father just died. His mother is injured. He needs your comfort right now. She clutched her chest and took a few steps back, her eyes glistening with tears. What? Qinglin never told me. He must have been afraid I'd worry. What an idiot. I'm going to find him right now. Honestly, you two should just get a room and leave me to my studies. During this period of undisturbed peace, I soaked up knowledge like a sponge. The kind of teaching Qinglin had dreamed of for a lifetime was finally within my grasp. After one class, while we were discussing a problem, the silver-haired teacher Lin turned to me with a warm smile and extended an invitation. Would you like to come to my lab and get some hands-on experience? I could barely hold back my tears. In my past life, I had stood in the school's laboratory, watching Qinglin instruct his students. The sight of the reagents covering the table, the pristine white lab coats, and the practiced, skillful movements, it was everything I had ever yearned for. Fighting back my excitement, I nodded. From that day on, I began a life of early mornings and late nights. Apart from attending classes, I spent every day immersed in the lab, assisting the senior students. As time went on, I gradually became capable of handling tasks on my own. Seeing how earnest I was, Professor Lin grew somewhat wistful. I once invited another student. He had even greater aptitude for learning, but he couldn't settle his mind. He was consumed by romantic pursuits and stopped coming after just a few days. You, however, have real perseverance. I didn't need to be told. I already knew who he was talking about, and Qinglin truly had a gift for academics. Even now, attending the same university and studying the same major, I have to admit he was more capable than I am, but in his mind, only romantic dalliances could showcase his exceptional, heaven-favored uniqueness. During this period, he and Qingyao became an inseparable pair, turning into a dazzling spectacle on campus. The striking couple turned heads wherever they went, and when Zhang Yan mentioned them, she couldn't help but grimace with a hint of disdain. A pure friendship that transcends romance. Sounds like a load of nonsense to me. I don't have time for this drama. Mr. Lin has entered me in a national competition, and the workload is intense. I have to make the most of every minute. When I got back to the dorm after finishing that day's experiment, Zhang Yan sidled up to me with a gossipy look on her face, and Qing Lin got beaten up. 15. Their recent high-profile antics had reached the Qing family's ears. The Qings forced her to cut off all contact with Qing Lin and even set her up with the very same man she was arranged to marry in her past life on the day of the blind date, and Qing Lin happened to witness it. After pounding the wall in anguish and letting out a tormented cry, he got into a physical altercation with the other man. That man was none other than Qing Yao's husband from her previous life, tall, broad-shouldered, and powerful. With just a few punches, he sent Qing Lin straight to the hospital. The injuries were reportedly quite severe, with his right arm fractured deeply. Moved, Qing Yao became even more determined to stay with him. Qing Lin got hurt because of me. How could I possibly abandon him to suffer all alone? In her eyes, and Qing Lin's impotent rage was a heroic rescue. Love truly is blind. On a bright afternoon, Qing Yao's family tracked me down. Without preamble, they demanded $500 and insisted I take Qing Lin back to his hometown. That's an enormous sum of money. Our family savings right now barely amount to $100. Qing Yao desperately tried to stop her, shaking her head frantically. How can you put a price on love? You're insulting her. Wang Qian, you must not accept it. Seizing the moment, I chimed in with a pitiful tone. Well, she's the one who told me not to take it. The Qing family are locals here. I'm all alone in this place, so it's best to be cautious. However, Qing Yao's persistence didn't lead to the outcome she wanted. 2 days later, and Qing Lin was still dragged out of Qing Yao's dormitory by her family. Qing Yao's shrieking could be heard in every corner of the school. Qing Lin, how could you all treat him like this? Injured and overwhelmed by the oncoming Qing family, and Qing Lin stumbled and fell in a heap at the school gate. You're shameless, burning with shame and humiliation. And Qing Lin covered his face and fled. Zhang Yan clapped her hands with glee. Now the school is finally peaceful. By the way, how's your competition entry coming along? I stretched my stiff, aching arm. It's already submitted. I'll treat everyone to a big meal once the results are out. I had planned to take a few days off to rest properly after the experiment, but Qing Yao, who'd been missing for days, popped up again. She volunteered to be our teaching assistant. Call it a woman's intuition, but I can't shake the feeling she's got it in for me. I've been on my guard a few times, but nothing's happened. Oh well. You can't stay on high alert forever. I'll just have to deal with whatever comes my way. My major, materials science, doesn't usually require lab work, but Qing Yao said she secured a lab for us to enhance the teaching this time. Qing Yao was about to guide us in preparing a sulfuric acid solution. Once all the preparations were complete, she called me forward. You learn better by doing it yourself. Wang Qian, pour the distilled water into the sulfuric acid solution. And make sure you do it quickly, she said with a wink and a smile. A chill ran down my spine. I replied calmly, Ms. Chung, usually the teachers demonstrate first before we start. Could you please show us how it's done? Qing Yao called on me again, but I still didn't move. With everyone watching, she had no choice but to begin the demonstration herself. Hold on, Ms. Chung, you've got the steps wrong. What you just described was pouring distilled water into concentrated sulfuric acid, not the other way around. In an experiment, you can't afford to get a single step wrong. Surrounded by a group of watching students, she said through gritted teeth, you have quite the memory. Wang, left with no other choice, her hand trembling, she picked up the distilled water but hesitated to pour it as the seconds ticked by. The surrounding classmates sensed something was amiss and began whispering among themselves. I seized the chance to sneak up behind her and suddenly shouted, Ms. Chung, do you need any help? Startled, her hand trembled, and all the distilled water from the test tube poured into the beaker of concentrated sulfuric acid. A large amount of the solution splashed out. Qing Yao stumbled backward, clutching her face as she let out a blood-curdling scream. 16. A major accident occurred in the laboratory, prompting the university security office to send personnel to investigate. The rising star of Tsinghua University, a celebrated talent, couldn't even handle such a simple experiment, and whispers of doubt began to spread across campus. After talking it over, the classmates who were there that day pieced together the truth. That day, it was Qing Yao who insisted Wang Qian do the experiment. Wang Qian was too timid and scared to go. If she had, it would have been Wang Qian who got disfigured. Qing Yao has a twisted mind. I thought it was strange at the time. Why was a teacher like her acting so hesitant and evasive? She clearly knew what she was teaching was wrong. What a vicious heart. To try and ruin Wang Qian over a man, and she calls herself a teacher. The person who went to see Qing Yao came back and said her entire head and face were wrapped in bandages soaked with blood and pus. With only one eye visible, Qing Yao said she wants to see you. Since the incident happened at school, to avoid a scandal, the school had no choice but to ask me to step in. When she saw me, she could no longer keep her composure. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten hurt. I pursed my lips, utterly bewildered, and asked, I pose no threat to you at all. Why are you trying to kill me? She screamed hysterically. How dare a lowlife like you attend my school? You belong back in your hometown, doing the hardest labor. Once your face is ruined, you won't covet things that aren't yours. If you had just obediently gone back to build that school with Qing Lin, how could his father have died? How could Qing Lin have broken his bones? After all that commotion, they still pinned the blame for their own misfortunes on me, and Qing Lin no longer bothered to keep up appearances, staying close by Qing Yao's side and accusing me. Because of you, my father died. My mother was left with a lame leg, now all alone and miserable, and Qing Yao suffered such a severe injury. Doesn't your conscience ache? I instinctively touched my chest. Nope, doesn't ache. After all these entanglements, I finally understood. You can't wake someone who is pretending to be asleep. I stood up. What's wrong with striving to better myself? As for the injuries you've suffered, in my eyes, you brought them upon yourselves. You have no one to blame but yourselves, since you feel so sorry for Qing Yao. You can take good care of her from now on. I wish you a long and happy life together. Cosmetic surgery technology wasn't advanced back then, so Qing Yao's face couldn't be restored to its original state. Furthermore, the school expelled her for violating organizational discipline. With that, Qing Yao's family no longer objected. They hastily arranged a wedding for the two, without even notifying mother and back in their hometown. However, on the wedding day, and Qinglin's expression didn't seem very willing. Life goes on, and I won't stop for two idiots anymore. Letters from home always bring good news. A few months ago, my brother married my sister-in-law from my previous life, and now she's 2 months pregnant. Thinking of my kind and considerate eldest nephew, I can hardly wait. In my past life, all my children sided with Qing Lin and Qing Yao. Within a year of my death, they started calling her mother, which infuriated my eldest nephew so much that he stormed over to make a scene. He was the only one who took my last remaining belongings home and the only one who would visit my grave regularly. As I picked up my pen to write back, I suddenly remembered the complaints Qing Lin had whispered to me a few days prior when he stopped me in secret. With a bit of mischief, I added a few lines about it. I can just picture how my mother must have carried on at the Yin family's house after she received that letter. 17. After they got married, with the Qing family's support, Qing Lin found his footing and secured a teaching position at a middle school. However, their married life did not turn out as blissful as he had imagined. After learning that her disfigurement could not be repaired, Qing Yao's mental state deteriorated. She frequently flew into rages, shouting and smashing things, and Qinglin's love for her was genuine. He became even more considerate and caring. Determined to help her through this difficult time, however, he underestimated how devastating the loss of her looks would be for her. Once Qing Yao's condition stabilized, he returned to work at the school. Left alone at home, Qing Yao began to suspect he had fallen for someone else. Every day after work, she would hysterically interrogate him, sometimes even chasing him to the school to confront and berate the more attractive female teachers. Unable to bear the torment any longer, and Qing Lin secretly came to find me. She's like a different person now. She doesn't understand my ideals and aspirations. We no longer speak the same language. I sneered inwardly. Isn't this the soulmate you've been pining for over the past 60 years? I just want a partner I can grow with. Words with a hidden meaning, a gaze filled with pain, confusion, and a glimmer of hope. I nodded, giving a slight wave of the national championship first place certificate in my hand. I think you and Qing Yao are a perfect match, both born to be teachers. As for me, I'll just focus on bringing glory to the school. As if struck by a sudden thought, his face flushed red. And Qing Lin possessed top-tier academic ability, but he was like dumplings in a teapot, unable to pour out his vast knowledge, which ultimately amounted to nothing more than a hopeless case. In my past life, it was I who painstakingly worked through the textbooks and burned the midnight oil preparing lesson plans, which ultimately shaped Professor N's teaching style, making complex concepts accessible and easy to understand. But now, news of Qinglin's impending dismissal from the middle school for his negligent teaching and insults towards students had already reached the university. To prevent Qing Yao from causing trouble for me alongside him, I took the initiative and called in reinforcements. Mother N arrived on the third day after my mother received the letter. Upon hearing that her son had gotten married and settled down behind her back, she sold all her possessions and boarded a train to Beijing just as I had. Expected, she and Qingyao got into a fight within a few days of living together. The commotion was so loud that word of it even reached me at school. Qingyao resented Mother An's slovenliness and her tendency to meddle in every aspect of the young couple's life. An's mother despised her for the scars covering her face, calling Qingyao a monster unworthy of her son, being frugal by nature. She also looked down on Qingyao's extravagant spending habits, recalling the 20 agonizing years I endured under An's mother in my past life. I broke into a cold sweat for Qingyao. The year I was pregnant with my first child, she found some old midwife from who knows where who insisted I was carrying a girl. She used that as an excuse to make things difficult for me at every turn. Her usual biting sarcasm paled in comparison to that. Once, they even sprinkled water in front of my door, hoping I'd quickly conceive a son after my miscarriage. After that incident, in a fit of anger, I moved into the school's dilapidated house and didn't even go back for my postpartum confinement. Those were such hard times. It would pour outside, and the roof would leak inside. I had to drag my frail body up to patch the roof. It was also during that time that I developed chronic leg pain. By my old age, the pain had even deformed my legs. The conflict between Qingyao and An's mother intensified by the day, eventually even affecting in Qinglin's work when Qingyao caused another major scene at the school, and Qinglin was fired. By the time I saw Qinglin again, he had lost a significant amount of weight and looked a decade older. Gone was his former spirited confidence, and none of the calm composure from his past life remained. 18, with a pained expression tinged with nostalgia, he said, "I always feel my life shouldn't be like this. I was supposed to be the golden child, the chosen one." It's true, he was brilliant in school, leaving his peers in the dust, but now, even the underachievers he once looked down on have found their footing in life, while he alone sinks deeper into hardship. He paused, then ventured tentatively, "The other night, I had a dream. In it, you and I ended up together. We built a school together, shared all the hardships and joys. You bore me 2 sons and a daughter. We grew old side by side. What a blissful life that was." So he remembered it too, but the happy life he enjoyed was built entirely upon my suffering. "After marrying you, I couldn't go to school. I spent my days scavenging and raising pigs, scrimping and saving to bear and raise your children. I toiled my whole life, only to be blamed even after death for tearing your family apart." He shook his head in a panic. "No, you are my lawful wife. That was just something my friends wrote to tease me." I cut him off. "It doesn't matter anymore. I know you're all quite the wordsmiths. However, I have a poem for you as well. My virtuous wife helped me scale the heavens, yet I trample her grave to welcome an old flame." He fell to his knees with a thud, his face streaked with tears when he looked up. "I know I was wrong. Can we start over? Think of the children yet to be born. Could you bear to deny them life?" I looked ahead at the imposing teaching building, the students coming and going, a scene of thriving vitality. No need. I toiled and sacrificed to raise them, yet I failed to teach them right from wrong. That is my failing. Perhaps I was not a good mother. When even my own flesh and blood would call another woman mother, I will not repeat the mistakes of my past life. A lifetime of eating half-cooked rice is more than enough. The road of life is still long, and I will not stop my steps again." From behind came the mournful wails of Qinglin and the frenzied curses of Qingyao. I still didn't look back. 19, after graduating from university, I returned to my hometown. I relocated and reopened the school, keeping its original name. Even with the experience of a past life, this path remains incredibly difficult every time I wanted to give up. I thought of the students from my previous life who walked out of this school, and I gritted my teeth and persevered. My efforts have finally paid off. Walking along the school path, listening to the sound of students reading, I was filled with profound emotion. "Principal Wang, could you teach our class this afternoon? Principal Wang, please come to our classroom. Principal Wang, Principal Wang." Surrounded by students as I walked step by step toward the podium, I felt an immense sense of pride looking into the classroom full of eager, knowledge-thirsty eyes. The moment I was reborn, I swore to myself that I would never be anyone's subordinate in this life. Thankfully, I made it. A life undefined is truly beautiful. In truth, life holds 10,000 possibilities. If the outcome is not what you desire, fight for it with all your might. End. Story 2. I'd been secretly dating my brother's best friend for 5 years, planning to go public on New Year's Eve at the party. He never mentioned it. Instead, he whispered in my ear with a half-joking tone, "I'm bored of sleeping with you. Why don't you marry someone else?" "Okay." I nodded calmly and said, "Fine." In my past life, I begged him in tears, swearing I'd marry no one else. After I married him as wished, He turned cold and detached, even keeping his eyes shut during intimacy. He abandoned me during life-threatening childbirth hemorrhage to celebrate his white moonlight at Disneyland. That was the moment of truth. Love begged for his doom to fade, given a second chance at life. I smiled and agreed. I'm done too, let's break up. The moment those words left my lips, Su Jianyan froze, thinking he must have misheard. How come I, who usually fly off the handle at the slightest provocation, suddenly became so docile? He dropped the playful tone and looked at me earnestly. Nian, do you know what I was just saying? A faint, carefree smile still lingered on my face. I know, didn't you tell me to find someone else? In my past life, if he'd said even the slightest thing to upset me, I'd have clawed at him like a frenzied cat until he apologized, but this time, I chose to let him have his way, and set myself free. Su Jianyan frowned. Junyan, what's wrong with you today? Before Su could finish speaking, the sound of shattering glass came from the next table. Then, a figure in white fled through the door in tears. The commotion drew sideways glances from nearby diners. My brother Zhu Yan nudged Su Jianyan with his elbow. Isn't that your ex smashing glasses? Did you invite her here today? Breaking things during New Year's is bad luck. This wouldn't happen to be because of you, would it? Su Jianyan's delicate brows furrowed deeper as he stood up and strode toward the door. Soon, the sobbing outside the door faded into lovers' whispers. Dishes kept arriving, but I mechanically picked at the food in my bowl. I used to serve Su Jianyan a portion from each new dish into his small bowl. It became my habit since we met. He often excused himself mid-meal for work calls. Every time my brother sees me doting on Su Jianyan, he gets all jealous. Wow, serving dishes to Su Jianyan again. You never pamper me like that. I've noticed it for a while. You've got a thing for that Su Jianyan guy, don't you? Several times, I almost blurted out the truth, but Su Jianyan immediately distanced himself from me, ruffled my hair like an older brother would, and laughingly called me his sworn sister. I understood what he meant. He didn't want to make our relationship public. For 5 whole years, he never posted anything about me on his social media, not even something visible only to me. He seems determined to erase every trace of our love, yet it's precisely because I'm hopelessly in love that I keep hiding in the shadows. Time and again, watching me eat quietly, my brother teased. Why not go check on your beloved Jianyan, unless you want some other girl to steal him away? My chopsticks hovered mid-air for a beat. Him running off with some other girl. What's that to me? As his sworn sister, I shouldn't be bothering them now. My brother studied my face intently, searching for something. Today was Su Jianyan's birthday. We'd planned to make our relationship official today, but I never expected him to invite his first love, Song Tao. Just then, Su Jianyan and Song Tao returned. Song Tao's eyes were red, clearly having just cried. Su Jianyan held her hand, gently comforting her from time to time. My brother whistled at the sight. Su Jianyan, Song Tao, are you two back together? The moment those words were spoken, Su Jianyan's head snapped up to look at me, a flicker of panic flashing in his eyes. What nonsense, we've been classmates for years. What's wrong with showing some concern? My shameless brother butted in. I'm your old classmate too. How about showing me some care? Su Jianyan laughed while shoving him away. Get lost. Seeing Song Tao clinging to him like a delicate bird, I pulled my brother aside. Big bro, stop interrupting second brother and sister Song Tao's private time. Go grab dinner already. I turned to Su Jianyan with a playful grin. Am I right, second brother? The address made Su Jianyan pause momentarily. He gave me an inscrutable look before silently escorting Song Tao out. The moment they left the table, the gossip started swirling. Told you first loves hit different. Did you see how they interacted tonight? They're totally getting back together. No kidding. Remember when Song Tao needed that kidney transplant? Su Jianyan didn't hesitate, gave her his own kidney while still recovering, then rushed to her bedside. Man literally gave her half his life. Now that Song Tao's back in the country, these two won't be separated again. Hearing these words, my heart ached so badly I could barely breathe. So their fates had been intertwined all along, only I was foolish enough to maintain this shameful relationship with him. In my past life, everything changed drastically after I married Su Jianyan. He stopped touching me altogether. We slept in separate rooms, even used different chopsticks at meals. Only when his parents pressured us for a child did he reluctantly hold me to get it over with. That night, he insisted on turning off the lights and kept his eyes shut the whole time, as if enduring utter humiliation. The very next day, he spent the night at Song Tao's place and didn't come home till morning. One winter, I came down with the flu and lay bedridden with no strength left in me. When I begged him to take me to the hospital, he brushed me off impatiently, claiming overtime work. Turned out he was accompanying Song Tao for a manicure, where staff gushed about what a loving couple they made during labor. I bled all over the floor at home and called him through tears. He finally snapped. It's just giving birth, not a death sentence. What's with all the tears? Take a cab to the hospital yourself. I'm busy, nothing else to discuss. He hung up before I could finish speaking. When I called back, his phone was switched off, yet Song Tao's social media was flooded with 8 consecutive posts showing Su Jianyan celebrating her birthday at Disneyland. Every photo grid had their passionate kiss perfectly centered. That was the moment all my will to live drained away. Su Jianyan, if you don't love me, what's the point of keeping this child? I severed all means of survival, flung my phone out the window, and watched helplessly as blood pooled around me. Even as I bled to death, Su Jianyan still thought I was putting on an act. With the guest of honor Su Jianyan absent, the birthday party quickly dissolved into scattered conversations. Listless, I left right after dinner. Su Jianyan, who usually texts me every 3 minutes, was uncharacteristically quiet tonight. The sound of New Year firecrackers drifted through the window, yet I felt none of the holiday cheer. At midnight, a firework lit up the window. Su Jianyan, who rarely posts on social media, suddenly updated his feed. In the photo, Song Tao was peacefully asleep on his shoulder, looking serene and sweet. The caption was just one word, her. Just 1 minute after posting on Moments, the comments section exploded with activity. Wishing you forever. Congratulations on your wedding. May you have a lifetime of happiness together. I casually hit like, but the post disappeared when I refreshed my feed. The next second, Song Tao sent me a message. Jianyan walked me home, and I accidentally fell asleep on his shoulder. It was too late to let him go back alone, so I had him stay overnight at my place. You don't mind, do you? I just gave a faint ahm in response. From now on, whatever Su Jianyan does or whoever he's with, it's none of my business. Just as I was about to sleep, Su Jianyan texted me too. What? Are they already this in sync now? Song Tao just got back to the country and didn't buy new clothes for the holidays. Don't you have a few unworn pieces? Let her borrow some tomorrow. The mall is closed. I'm afraid we won't make it in time to buy anything. Reading this message sent my already gloomy mood plummeting to rock bottom. I haven't even worn the new clothes I bought for myself yet, and now I have to give them to the person he loves most. What's he to me anyway? In a fit of pique, I ignored the message and powered off my phone. To my surprise, Su Jianyan showed up at my doorstep with Song Tao first thing the next morning, at 10 o'clock sharp. The doorbell rang. Su Jianyan had arrived. My brother rushed to open the door and found Su Jianyan and Song Tao standing outside with arms full of gifts. Everyone except me welcomed them warmly. Su Jianyan lost his parents as a child and was raised by his grandmother, being our neighbor. My parents had long treated him like their own son. Su Jianyan gave me a lingering look as he stepped inside. My mom smiled at Song Tao and said, "So you must be Su Jianyan's girlfriend. Haven't seen you in years. You've become even more beautiful." "Thank you, Auntie, you haven't aged a bit, still as youthful as ever." Song Tao really knew how to work her charm. With just a few words, she had my parents grinning from ear to ear. "Junyan, what's taking you so long in your room? Come greet your brother Jianyan and sister Song Tao already." I dutifully poured tea for Su Jianyan and Song Tao, saying respectfully, "Happy New Year, second brother, Song Tao." Su Jianyan gave me an even stranger look. Just as I was using the restroom, he suddenly sent me a message. "What are you sulking about?" I left him on read. There was a little seating dispute during lunch. I sat at my usual spot, but Su Jianyan silently took the seat next to me. "That's my brother's seat." My brother stared wide-eyed as Su Jianyan took his seat, then glanced at the empty spot next to Song Tao. "Dude, why'd you steal my seat? Go sit next to your girlfriend already." With that, he pulled Su Jianyan up. After some playful bickering, Su Jianyan ended up sitting across from me. The moment he sat down, I felt like sitting on pins and needles. He fixed me with an intense gaze. I averted my eyes and began eating in silence. Midway through the meal, he stepped away to take another call, staring at the empty bowl in front of him. I swallowed my food and chose to ignore it. When he returned, he deliberately glanced at the bowl before looking at me. My brother noticed and quickly came to my defense. "We're family, no one's fighting you for food. Stop giving Junyan a hard time." Just then, my mother glanced between Su Jianyan and me with knowing eyes. She suddenly called me out at the dinner table. "Junyan, look, even your cousin Jianyan brought his girlfriend home this year. When are you planning to bring a boyfriend home for us to meet?" Su Jianyan opened his mouth as if wanting to say something. I cut him off. "If Mom, Dad, or my brothers know anyone suitable, feel free to set me up." I used to flat out reject these kinds of suggestions. Seeing my change of heart moved my brother to tears. He gave my shoulder a hearty pat and exclaimed, "Nian, you've finally come to your senses. Just say the word, and I'll set you up with some handsome guys right after dinner. I laughed and agreed, but my gaze inadvertently drifted towards Su Jianian. His lips were pressed into a thin line, his expression darkening noticeably amid the laughter. He suddenly cut in, "Auntie, don't joke about that. Song Tao is just an old classmate of mine." My mother froze momentarily, and Song Tao's smiling face instantly stiffened. "My brother, ever the instigator, chimed in, "So you're still single? How about we set you up with Nian Nian then?" At those words, my already flustered heart clenched to its breaking point. He immediately nudged my brother and said, "Cut it out. Nian Nian's my sister." My anxious heart finally gave out, completely and utterly gone. I took a deep breath and mustered every ounce of strength to force a natural smile. "Come on bro, don't talk nonsense, Su Jianian is my second brother." After dinner, Su Jianian left with Song Tao, and we didn't contact each other for the next few days. I just carried on with my normal life, eating, drinking, and actively attending any class reunions. On the evening of the 5th day of the new year, my brother had a class reunion. Seeing I had no plans, he insisted on dragging me along. I went to bed early, adamantly refusing to go, but he said, "Tonight's a pivotal moment in your second brother's life. As his sister, you must witness it." Only upon arriving at the gathering did I realize Song Tao plans to ask Su Jianian to get back together at tonight's gathering. According to them, since Song Tao returned home, their relationship has visibly heated up quickly, with high chances of reconciliation. A classmate who works at a jewelry store said Su Jianian went to their shop to pick out a ring the day before yesterday. It's almost certainly for Song Tao. I knew most of my brother's classmates, and many greeted me. When I arrived, they complimented how much prettier I'd become, jokingly telling me to pick any single guy there. Laughing, I joined in their playful banter. Su Jianian watched silently from a distance without saying a word. Before dinner started, Song Tao pulled me aside. "Junyan, I know Jianian treats you really well. He always listens to whatever you say, so later when I confess my feelings, could you put in a good word for me? That way, we'll have a better shot at getting back together." Song Tao appears gentle on the surface, but her heart is filled with malice. She knew I had feelings for Su Jianian, but since he refused to make it public, I had no choice but to suffer in silence. She's deliberately exploiting my love for Su Jianian as a weakness to torment me relentlessly. But what Song Tao doesn't know is that after my past life experience, I'm completely over him. I flashed an even brighter smile than hers and said, "Alright, don't you worry, I'll definitely help you two out." Song Tao pouted and headed back to the private room. At the dinner table, Su Jianian, for some inexplicable reason, started piling food onto my plate just like I used to do for him. Just as the waiter brought a fresh pot of claypot chicken, he picked up a piece and placed it in my bowl. I raised my hand to block the bowl, smiling. "Second brother, I'm grown up now. I can serve myself. You should give some to Sister Song Tao instead." The piece of chicken hung awkwardly in midair until Song Tao noticed and caught it with her bowl. "Jianian, maybe Nian Nian already has her eye on someone here. Stop meddling." As they spoke, classmates began rising one by one to toast Song Tao's return from abroad. Just as Song Tao reached for her wine glass, Su Jianian snatched it away. "Peach gets tipsy from just a sip. Let me take this drink for her." With those words, he threw his head back and downed it in one go. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Su Jianian kept going, drink after drink. A blush began creeping across her face. Song Tao reached out to stop him, her voice dripping with tenderness. "Jianian, you don't have to drink so much for me." It was hard to tell whether Su Jianian was truly drunk. He gazed at Song Tao with gentle affection. "Don't worry, I know you can't handle alcohol. They're clearly taking advantage of you." The room erupted in murmurs at those words. I knew it. Su Jianian's defining moment had arrived. Song Tao flushed crimson, her rosebud lips parting as she whispered, "Jianian, after all these years, I still can't forget you. Let's get back together, okay? Say yes, say yes." The crowd began chanting. Su Jianian paused, seemingly caught off guard by how the situation was unfolding. The atmosphere was perfectly set. The heroine had bravely confessed her love, now only waiting for the hero's nod of approval. A love story that captivates the world, a match made in heaven, is about to unfold. Watching the couple under the spotlight, I clapped and cheered. A girl as devoted and gorgeous as Sister Song Tao is one in a million. How can you still hesitate, second brother? Yet Su Jianian stared at me in utter disbelief. "Junyan, what the hell's gotten into you? Aren't you my girlfriend? What nonsense are you spouting?" The room fell dead silent the moment those words were spoken. My brother was the first to snap out of it, looking utterly shocked as his gaze darted between Su Jianian and me. "Nianer, what did he just call you?" "Girlfriend," I smiled calmly. "Bro, can't you see second brother's drunk? just fooling around. Su Jianyan seemed pissed as he pushed Song Tao aside and strode toward me. I took a step back just as the sound of shattering glass erupted behind me. When Su Jianyan turned to look, he rushed over in alarm. A bleeding gash from broken glass marred Song Tao's calf. The stark contrast between her pale skin and crimson blood was horrifying to behold. Xu Jian's brows knitted instantly with heartache. He swept Song Tao right off her feet in one swift motion, but Song Tao shot me a sidelong glance before clinging to Xu Jian's neck with puppy dog eyes. Brother Jian, everyone's watching. Put me down this instant, otherwise people might get the wrong idea about us. Nian seems upset. Aren't you going to check on her? Song Tao's voice carried just enough to reach my ears. She said it deliberately, aiming to make Su Jianyan publicly acknowledge his relationship with Song Tao in front of everyone too. Everyone's surprise, Su Jianyan kept a straight face and ultimately said nothing. He merely shot me a fleeting glance before turning to Song Tao. Don't mind her, let me take you to the hospital first. With that, he carried Song Tao out of the private room. The moment they left, my brother couldn't wait to pry into the gossip. That Su Jianyan guy never gets drunk no matter how much he drinks. Spill it. What's really going on between you two? Knowing my brother can't keep a secret, I decided to keep him in the dark. I shook my head. Nothing's going on. Maybe Sister Song Tao caught him off guard. My brother tried to ask more, but I waved him off with some vague excuses. I shouldn't have come to this class reunion in the first place. The moment dinner ended, I made up an excuse to leave. Walking alone down the street, I saw couples and groups everywhere, their faces lit with joyful smiles as they gathered to set off fireworks. Suddenly, this whole New Year's celebration just felt utterly meaningless. I quickened my pace, ready to head home and call it a night. Just as I reached the building entrance, Su Jianyan appeared. I sprinted toward the door, only for him to cut me off. I dodged sideways, but he yanked me into his arms. Had I not lived that previous life, I might have lingered in this warm embrace. The next moment, I collapsed against him in tears, but with this second chance at life, I coldly pushed him away. Second brother, we're right under my family's apartment. What if my parents see us and get the wrong idea? He hesitated, the hand he'd extended toward me ultimately withdrawing. Sometimes I wonder, if you're ashamed to be seen with me, why stay together at all? He demanded. What's gotten into you today? Why egg those people on? I shrugged indifferently. Am I wrong? Song Tao still carries a torch for you, and you nearly died saving her back then. I think you two are quite compatible. Getting back together makes perfect sense. I was being completely honest. But Su Jianyan took it the wrong way. He rarely showed even a hint of a smile. What about you? Have you forgotten your place? Who was it that said if I got too close to another girl, someone would? Su Jianyan, I said, locking eyes with him and enunciating every word. We're already broken up. The next second, Su Jianyan finally panicked. Who said we broke up? I won't allow it. Not allowed to do what? Before I could answer, my brother's boisterous voice came from behind me. I turned around, smiling, and explained, my second brother wants to give Sister Song Tao a ring. So he specifically came to ask me what kind of style girls like. He said if I didn't answer seriously, he wouldn't let me go home. Su Jianyan's face instantly darkened. He grabbed my arm and was about to say something when my brother cut him off. If it's meant for her, why ask my Nian? Go ask the girl herself. Or maybe, you actually want to give Nian a ring. At that last remark, Su Jianyan's face flushed slightly. I pried Su Jianyan's fingers off my arm one by one. Since you've decided to get back with Sister Song Tao, you should go to her. Second brother, she's injured her leg and needs someone to take care of her. Junyan, do you even hear yourself right now? Who said anything about getting back together? Su Jianyan raised his voice excitedly, drawing stares from passers-by. Damn it, Su Jianyan, what's your problem? Whether you get back together with Song Tao is between you two. Why take it out on Nian? Seeing Su Jianyan about to lose his temper again, I nudged my brother. It's freezing, let's head back. Just got home, didn't even have time to take off my shoes. Su Jianyan called. I hung up immediately, but he stubbornly kept calling. Eventually, he sent me a text. What time are you going to bed? I'll come see you later. I have so much to tell you. Can we talk? I didn't want to deal with him anymore, so I just turned off my phone just as I turned off the lights to sleep. My bedroom door was knocked. Nian, someone's here to see you. Get out here now. I pulled the blanket over my head. I'm asleep. Whatever it is can wait till morning. It's Song Tao asking for you. My eyes flew open as I frowned. What does she want from me? Song Tao stood outside the door, holding several exquisitely wrapped gift bags with a beaming smile. I brought back some skincare sets from abroad. I meant to give them to you earlier, but it slipped my mind. The moment the bedroom door closed, Song Tao's smile vanished instantly. I couldn't be bothered with pleasantries anymore and cut straight to the chase. You're here for something else, aren't you? Song Tao dropped all pretense. Plopping unceremoniously into the chair and crossing her legs, she carried herself like she owned the place. Junyan, let's not beat around the bush. I know Jianyan's been getting close to you these years I was abroad, but I'm back now, and we're going to get married and start a family. I'd appreciate it if you could keep your distance from him, a question mark slowly formed in my mind. You must have misunderstood. Jianyan and I have a purely sibling-like relationship. Are you done? If so, please leave. I need to sleep. I barely knew her, yet she randomly accused me of things. It made me really uncomfortable. The next instant, Song Tao's face twisted with fury. If it weren't for you, Su Jianyan and I would have gotten back together tonight. What are you pretending not to know? Can't you see Su Jianyan has feelings for you? In my past life, I would have confidently told her that Su Jianyan's heart belonged to me, but this time around, I see clearly, Song Tao still holds a place in Jianyan's heart. Let me say it again, brother Jianyan and I only have a sibling relationship. That's how it is now, and that's how it'll always be. This bond will never change. If you like Jianyan, then go after him boldly. Don't waste your time on an outsider like me. Song Tao was left speechless, unable to utter a single word for the longest time. In the end, she left the bags of gifts behind and walked away without another word. But after she left, instead of feeling satisfied, I only grew more frustrated. In my past life, right after Su Jianyan and I announced our engagement, Song Tao came to see me privately. I thought she was here to make trouble, but surprisingly, she remained eerily calm. She pulled out her phone and showed me page after page of chat history between her and Su Jianyan, tracing their entire relationship from their initial formal greetings as new contacts, to gradually getting to know each other, and eventually becoming close. From their first date, first confession, to becoming a couple even after their breakup. During those years Song Tao spent abroad, they maintained a connection that appeared friendly but carried underlying intimacy. Watching the light fade from my eyes, a flicker of triumph surfaced in her expression. See, Su Jianyan's true love is me. Even if you marry him, his heart will never be with you. He married you out of obligation, not love. But I refused to believe it, convinced that cold text messages could never replace someone who's been by your side day and night. Little did we know, Song Tao's words would prove prophetic. I tossed and turned all night, still wide awake when dawn broke, until my brother knocked on the door. Nian, didn't you say you wanted to meet someone? My friend's returning from abroad today. He's in med school, same as you. Want to meet him? My face lit up. Absolutely, out with the old, in with the new. Right now, making new friends is the best distraction. Seeing me get up to wash up so eagerly, my mom sighed that I'd truly grown up. I chuckled wryly and said it was all thanks to Su Jianyan. My brother's friend was very straightforward. We quickly settled on a meeting time. He even proactively asked for my contact info and had my brother share my WeChat with him. After adding them, I noticed their profile picture was a black cat. I suddenly felt a connection. My own avatar was a British shorthair. He suggested meeting tomorrow at a Hunan restaurant near my place. How did you know I love spicy food? I was delighted, recognizing my regular spot. Ask your brother. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of admiration for someone who did their homework beforehand. Su Jianyan kept calling repeatedly while I was on my way to the meeting. I hung up impatiently when I didn't answer his calls. He switched to texting. Junyan, where are you right now? I'm coming to see you. Let's have a proper talk. Nian, could you reply when you see this? I don't want us to grow apart. I immediately set my phone to do not disturb mode. Following the hostess, I walked toward the table Gu Xiao had reserved in advance. From a distance, I spotted a bespectacled gentleman sitting by the window. That must be my brother's friend. On their first meeting, Gu Xiao put considerable thought into it. He pulled out a small gift for me. It was an exquisitely carved wooden music box with a gentle twist of the key. The music box emitted a delightful melody with music, birdsong, and the gentle sound of flowing water. It's incredibly peaceful. Gu Xiao looked at me, clearly delighted, and then suddenly said, I made this. Wait, you're a med student. You can make these little trinkets too. My jaw practically hit the floor. Gu Xiao looked both bashful and quietly pleased with himself. His subtle expressions were adorably animated, just like a kid's. My grandfather was a carpenter. I picked it up from him as a boy. I gave him a thumbs up, thoroughly impressed by this multi-talented guy. Throughout our conversation over dinner, Gu Xiao gave off such a pleasant vibe. By the time we were finishing up, I was already teasing him playfully. Getting such an extravagant gift on our first meeting. I don't even know how to reciprocate. I can't paint or sing to save my life. Gu Xiao chuckled at my joke. No worries. Let's meet again next time. Consider it my gift in return. Amid our laughter, a familiar voice suddenly rang out behind us. That voice shattered my good mood instantly into fragments. Turning around, I saw Su Jianyan standing before me, his face gaunt with exhaustion. Junyan, do you have any idea how hard I've been looking for you? Su Jianyan braced his hands on his knees, breathing heavily as if he'd run all the way here. When Su Jianyan noticed Gu Xiao sitting across from me, his brows instantly furrowed. He strode over and yanked me up from the chair. No wonder you've been ignoring all my calls and messages. Junyan, how bold of you, dating another man before we've even broken up. Su Jianyan's voice carried just enough to draw glances from nearby tables. His grip hurt as I tried to wrench free, only for him to tighten his hold. Su Jianyan, stop twisting the truth. I agreed to your breakup request during your birthday last time. I'm single now. Who I date is none of your business. Su Jianyan completely lost his temper and actually tried to kiss me in public. I wanted to slap him, but with both hands restrained, I couldn't stop him. Just then, a strong hand reached between Su Jianyan and me. Gu Xiao effortlessly pushed Su Jianyan away, shielding me behind him. Sir, if you continue, I'll report you for sexual harassment. Who the hell are you? I'm talking to my girlfriend, don't get in my way. With that, Su Jianyan recklessly grabbed Gu Xiao by the collar, trying to shove him aside, but being shorter than Gu Xiao, he ended up getting hoisted up by both arms instead. You let go of me, sir. With that temper of yours, it's hard to believe you're actually her boyfriend. What if you're a kidnapper trying to abduct this lady? Let's hear everyone's opinion. Isn't that a real possibility? Gu Xiao's rational and gentlemanly demeanor quickly won over the crowd. Seeing he was no match for him, Su Jianyan finally gave up struggling. But just as Gu Xiao set Su Jianyan down, the latter suddenly lunged at him. The two men tumbled to the ground in a grappling brawl. Even the restaurant security couldn't break them apart. I dialed 110 with an expressionless face to report the fight. Then I made another call to Song Tao, tell her to keep her boyfriend in check. To my surprise, Song Tao replied coldly, don't call me about Su Jianyan ever again. There's no chance of us getting back together. Before I could respond, she hung up. I stared at my phone, utterly confused, wondering what was going on. Once at the police station, the officers gave them a stern talking to, and they were released shortly after. As soon as we left the police station, Su Jianyan, unable to contain her excitement, looked at me again. I sighed resignedly. Su Jianyan, please stop bothering me. The moment the words were spoken, Su Jianyan blurted out, I was drunk that day. It was just a thoughtless joke. Please don't take it to heart. Junyan, I never considered getting back with Song Tao. It's you I love, I scoffed. You keep claiming to love me, so why hide our relationship for 5 years? Why make me live in the shadows? Su Jianyan, the person you truly love isn't me, it's yourself. With that, I turned to leave, and Su Jianyan immediately clung to me like a lost puppy. I'm warning you, take one more step and I'm calling the cops. Gu Xian stepped in to block him, leaving Su Jianyan no choice but to stand there helplessly as we walked away. But I never expected Su Jianyan would turn around and announce our relationship to the whole world the next morning. Before I was even awake, my brother was pounding on my door. Junyan, get out here, I have something important to ask you. When I groggily opened the door, I saw Su Jianyan and my brother standing there. My first instinct was to close the door, but my brother blocked me. Junyan, Su Jianyan came clean with me about everything. Don't you have anything to say for yourself? There's nothing to explain, we're just sworn siblings, that's all. But he told me you two dated for 5 years. What's going on here? Hearing my brother's words, I couldn't help but laugh. Oh really, we've been together for 5 years. Care to show me any proof, dear second brother? Su Jianyan opened his mouth, but no words came out in the end. In 5 years of dating, he never posted a single thing about me on his social media. Even when he did post, it was always group photos of the 3 of us in our 5-year relationship. All the gifts we exchanged revolved around food and drinks. He never wanted anything tangible, afraid it might leave evidence. I've had my doubts and felt wronged, but he'd say I'm still too young, worried my family would disapprove. But I'm not a child anymore. I've been with him since I was 18, and now I'm 23. The ridiculous part is, Su Jianyan couldn't produce a shred of evidence. Suddenly, something occurred to him. Don't you have our photos in your phone? Show them to your brother. I do, but I've deleted all the ones we took in private. This is a group photo we took when it was just the 3 of us hanging out. My brother, who was listening to our conversation nearby, was already starting to get suspicious. He was wondering if Su Jianyan had lost his mind. You're telling me you've been together for 5 years, and it's one thing if people around you don't know. How can there be absolutely no evidence? Su Jianyan, are you sure you're dating my sister? You call this a relationship? Are you even a man? Seeing Su Jianyan still trying to argue, My brother was already losing his patience. Junyan, explain it to your brother. I really did date you for 5 years. Nyan, have you forgotten all those words I said to you? Have you forgotten you told me you loved me? Su Jianyan's words made me sick to my stomach. Bro, I think Su Jianyan's still drunk. You'd better get him out of here. After that, I blocked all of Su Jianyan's contact information. I've made myself perfectly clear any further contact would constitute harassment. Su Jianyan kept causing scenes at my place. Several more times, until even my parents found out and had to chase him away with a broom. They thought it strange, such a decent young man, yet he seems to have some mental issues. Could he be having trouble with Song Tao and trying to drag Nian Nian into this as a replacement? After my brother's persistent questioning, I finally confessed to him about my 5-year relationship with Su Jianyan. To my surprise, he didn't scold me. Instead, he gently patted my head with tenderness. You silly girl, why didn't you tell your big brother anything? Had I known Su Jianyan was such a scumbag, I would have cut ties with him ages ago. Junyan, remember this: any man who makes you feel wronged in a relationship isn't worth keeping. Cut them off clean, understand? After the holiday break, I returned to work at the hospital. The nurses at the station were saying the surgery department got a new doctor. Not only is he tall and handsome, but he's also a top graduate from a prestigious foreign medical school. My heart skipped a beat when I heard them say the doctor's surname was Gu. Then again, such coincidences seemed impossible. The world's just too vast. But that very morning, banners were hung at the hospital entrance, and even a welcome ceremony was held. I just realized the new doctor is actually Gu Xiao. Amid the applause, he spotted me and flashed me a smile. That smile lingered so long that everyone followed his gaze toward me. My colleague nudged me. Wait, you two know each other? I quickly lied. No. This is actually my first time meeting Dr. Gu too. Just as I finished speaking, Gu Xiao walked toward me. Junyan, what a coincidence. He extended his hand to me. Everyone was whispering. A month later, the whole hospital knew Gu Xiao was pursuing me. He'd wait for me after work and bring me midnight snacks during my night shifts. Thanks to his constant treats, I've gained 2 pounds. Things between Gu Xiao and me had grown ambiguous, just one confession away from becoming official. But I never expected to run into Su Jianyan again at the hospital. It had been over 2 months since I last saw him, and there he was accompanying a girl to her medical appointment. When I saw the girl's face, I froze in surprise. The girl bore some resemblance to me. Su Jianyan spotted me, paused for a moment, then started walking toward me. I pushed through the crowd, heading for the elevator to get away from him, only to accidentally bump into someone's arms. Gu Xiao didn't push me away. Instead, he held me even tighter. Our posture was intimate, drawing curious glances from others. I turned my head, and the elevator doors were about to close. Through the narrowing gap, I saw the desolation on Su Jianyan's face. My heart remained utterly still. Farewell, Su Jianyan. From this day forward, you shall have no place in my world. I nodded. Story 2. I rushed into the fire to save my childhood friend, but he locked me inside instead. After being disfigured, my parents despised me and adopted a daughter to replace me. The fake heiress abducted me to a mountain village, where I got pregnant 4 times in 3 years. I pretended to be obedient while waiting for a chance to escape back home. The fake heiress clung to her childhood sweetheart's arm and mocked me, while my parents remained distant and indifferent. In the end, I died in a car accident because the fake heiress urgently needed a heart. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day of the fire. I still rushed forward without hesitation. Before Zhuma could run out, I locked him inside with a backhanded move. Help, help. 1. My eyes snapped open, only to be met with thick smoke that sent me into a coughing fit. Before me raged a towering inferno. I glanced at the princess dress I was wearing and narrowed my eyes. Had I gone back to when I was 7 years old? Xian's scream still echoed in my ears. In my previous life, I rushed over the moment I heard his cries, stumbling and crawling forward, just wanting to pull him out. Clearly, I was terrified too, but after I pulled him out, he panicked and slammed the door shut, running away himself, leaving me inside to be consumed by the sea of flames. The blazing flames filled my entire vision, stirring an inexplicable excitement in my heart as exhilaration crawled up my throat. Xian, the gears of fate have turned full circle once more. I stood up and charged forward without hesitation. Xian's figure flickered faintly amidst the flames just before he could rush out. Bang! I raised my foot and kicked the scorching iron door shut. This door automatically locks when closed. He can't get out. Why is the door closed? Xian cried and roared, his voice terrifyingly hoarse. Shoo shoo, are you there? Open the door. Save me. His voice grew weaker, coughing more violently. I stared at the tightly shut door before me, as if seeing him just beyond its threshold. I forced a grin and said with a tearful voice, Don't worry, I'll get someone to save you. When both sets of parents came running, I was curled up in a fire-safe corner. Trembling uncontrollably, my mother rushed to me, crying, "Shoo shoo." She pulled me into her arms. "Are you okay, sweetheart? Let mom take a look." My face was cupped by a pair of soft hands. These were the hands that once brought me warmth, yet also the hands that ended my life. I instinctively frowned and avoided them. She only thought I was frightened. Seeing my princess dress tattered by the licking flames and my grimy face, tears streamed down her face like rain. "It's mommy's fault for not protecting you," she sobbed, her hands trembling as they carefully touched my face. I sneered inwardly. The Lin couple are extreme perfectionists. Their most satisfactory creation is me. They become happy when hearing others praise me, then they present everything I casually mentioned right before me. After I was disfigured in the fire, their love stopped there. The way they looked at me was like looking at a rat. After confirming my face was unharmed, my mother quickly picked me up and fled the fire. I shrank against her shoulder, watching a group of people desperately smash open the iron door. Xian was already unconscious when rescued. Covered in blood, he was taken to the hospital. I was brought home by my parents. "Thank goodness you're alright. How could I go on living if something happened to you?" Mother cried again. Anyone who didn't know would think she was genuinely worried about me. All she cares about is this face. Father also breathed a sigh of relief. They failed to see the fleeting malice in my eyes. After that day, I seemed to be scared out of my wits too. I stopped laughing and playing around. My parents tried every possible way to cheer me up, but couldn't bring even a hint of smile to my face. They assigned me a psychologist. I cooperated throughout the whole process, eventually diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. From then on, my parents always smiled when facing me, speaking softly and gently. I think, even if I wanted the moon from the sky, they would find a way to bring me a handful of lunar soil. But still, I didn't smile. My parents grew anxious. "Sweetheart, is there anything you want?" My mother held me close and asked softly. My father also leaned in. "Whatever you desire, I'll move heaven and earth to place it before you." I lowered my gaze, concealing the coldness in my eyes. Yes, that's exactly the kind of people they are. Less than a year after I escaped in my previous life, their precious adopted daughter was diagnosed with heart disease. That girl pointed at me and said she wanted to take my heart. They personally arranged a car accident for me. Indeed, by every possible means. I raised my hand and pointed at the TV. A period drama was playing on the TV. "I want her," I said. Father waved his hand. "Find this actor for the young lady." I shook my head. He raised his hand to stop it. He looked at me again. "What does my baby want?" "Daddy didn't understand you." I blinked innocently. "I want a maidservant." That female celebrity I just pointed at plays a maidservant in the TV drama. The parents exchanged glances after hearing this. "This is getting a bit tricky. This is a democratic and free society. Where could we possibly find a maidservant? If it's someone to play with me, they'd have to be around 7 or 8 years old. Child labor is even more illegal." Seeing their troubled expressions, I deliberately lowered my head with a sad look. "It's okay if you can't." Father anxiously paced around the living room. Mother held my small hand. "How could it not be possible? You can have anything you want." I knew they would definitely come up with a solution soon. Father tapped his index finger in the air. "I've got it, the orphanage." As my parents launched into detailed discussions, I smiled silently. "Yes, that's exactly right, my dear parents. I dug the pit. Since you love me so much, you'll jump right in obediently, won't you?" My parents took me to orphanages all over the city. We saw hundreds of children. I was dissatisfied with each one, because none of them were her. The parents were also dissatisfied. Their extreme perfectionism meant that even when bringing home a pet, it had to be the most aesthetically pleasing one. After a month, nothing was achieved. That also suggests that in their previous life, the parents must have put considerable effort into finding an adopted daughter who could satisfy them. We searched from within the province to outside it. Finally, in the south, over 2,000 kilometers away, we found a fresh and lovely girl. Upon hearing the parents' request, the director immediately brought out a girl. This is Duo. Her skin was delicate and snow white, with baby fat making her look adorable and well-behaved. Upon seeing my parents, the girl's eyes turned red and teary. My mother frowned slightly. "Pretty she may be, but she cries too much. We can't take her. After all, she was to be my maid. Being too petty wouldn't do." Father also nodded repeatedly. Upon hearing this, the girl pursed her lips and forcibly held back her tears. I don't cry easily. I'm just too happy." "Mom and Dad, my name is Suidwa." After speaking, she pinched her skirt with her small hands and bowed to my parents like a little lady. Both parents frowned simultaneously. The mother said discontentedly, "What nonsense are you shouting, child? Who are you calling Mom and Dad?" I haven't called them that since the fire. They're waiting for me to speak up. They couldn't care less about others calling them that. Suidwa's expression froze, her wide eyes filled with disbelief. What are you talking about? Weren't you here to adopt me? The father glanced at the director, his voice indifferent. Does this child have some sort of delusional disorder? The director looked somewhat awkward. Well, she's not usually like this. Only then did mother say, it's not us who want to adopt a child, it's old Wang. Old Wang was our family's driver. Suidwa's small frame suddenly trembled. How is this possible? This is different. It's not like this. Why? She was still muttering to herself when old Wang walked in through the door. Seeing the unwilling expression on Suidwa's face, he also became unhappy. He's 30 this year, married with both a son and daughter, and originally didn't want to adopt a child, but my father offered a high price. Just adopt a daughter under his and his wife's name, and his annual salary would increase by 200,000, rounding up. As a driver, his annual salary approaches 400,000, so tears streamed from the corner of his mouth as he agreed without any backbone. It seems that only by thinking of this money did old Wang manage to calm himself down. Yes, I want to adopt a child, the dean asked Suidwa. Duo, do you agree? She tightly clutched her skirt, visibly trembling all over. It's a bit strange. Could she also have memories from her past life? With this question in mind, I stepped out slowly from behind my mother in my little pink leather shoes. Suidwa's gaze fixed on my face as the words escaped her lips. Who are you? My mother shielded me like a hen protecting her chick. This is the heiress of the Lin family. Mind your tone. Suidwa was shocked. Impossible. You're not. In her memory, I was a disfigured monster, the kind she could bully at will, but she didn't know. The scales of fate had completely tipped in my favor. If she's not, then are you? The mother angrily retorted. If you continue being this rude, we won't consider adopting you anymore. I'm sorry. She hastily lowered her head, looking pitifully vulnerable. Of course she wouldn't give up, even if it meant becoming old Wang's adopted daughter now, as long as there's a chance to get close to my parents. That's good enough. I pretended to be startled by Suidwa and buried my face in my mother's neck. The smile at the corner of my lips simply couldn't be suppressed. Here comes another fool who jumps at every trap. My parents and old Wang were handling the paperwork, while Suidwa and I returned to the car first, for as soon as we got in the car, her well-behaved facade completely vanished. Lin Shu, how come your face isn't disfigured yet? Her asking this wasn't strange. In my previous life, when my parents adopted her, my face had already been disfigured. How pretty. I lifted my eyelids and glanced at her indifferently. You must have put a lot of effort into dressing up, right? Wearing a clean little dress with 2 adorable braids, just waiting for my parents to come adopt her. What a pity, all that effort wasted. They don't love you anymore. So you really have memories from before too. She stomped her feet. Lin Shu, it was you who made me become old Wang's foster daughter, wasn't it? I grinned. Wrong guess. With me around, they'd never adopt another child. They only went through the trouble of having old Wang take you in to fulfill my request. What do you mean by that? Her little face flushed red with anger. I glanced at the approaching figures outside the window, lowered my head and sat quietly. Reverting to my usual silent demeanor, she lunged at me. Stop playing dead with me. As the car door opened, my mother saw her making aggressive gestures at me, grabbed her by the collar. Chenidwa, if you dare bully my daughter, I'll throw you out to get hit by a car and die. She would absolutely do it. Suidwa knew this because this was how my previous life ended. She pursed her lips, looking somewhat aggrieved. My name is Suidwa. The mother expressionlessly dragged her to the back row. Who cares what your name is? After saying that, she pulled me into her embrace, her tone extremely gentle. Were you scared, baby? Don't be afraid, mommy's here. I tilted my head and nuzzled against her shoulder. Consider it her reward. Her eyes lit up as she looked at father. Honey, look quickly. It was absolutely the right decision to find a maid for our precious child. The father nodded approvingly. Suidwa, sitting in the back row, turned pale. What maid? What are you talking about? No one answered her. After returning home, Lao Wang drove away while Suidwa stayed behind. She walked upstairs by instinct from her past life. Her mother grabbed her. Where are you going? Your room is here. She was assigned to the maid's room that night. She buried herself under the blanket and cried loudly, holding the teddy bear. I leaned against her doorway and gradually smiled. Her crying sounded so beautiful. I sat primly at the dining table like a little princess. The next day, Suidwa was ordered into the kitchen to bring me breakfast. Watching her struggle on tiptoe to place breakfast on the table, I raised my hand and deliberately knocked it over. It spilled all over her. Ah, she screamed involuntarily. What's wrong? What happened? My mother heard the noise and hurried downstairs. Seeing the mess on the floor, she quickly ran over and hugged me. After confirming I was unharmed, she glared coldly at Suidwa. Why are you so clumsy? If you'd hurt Shushu, I'd chop off your hand. I am the flawless artwork in their eyes, of course. Not a single scratch is allowed. The nanny combs my hair. Not a strand more than 10 per day shall fall or they'll all be fired. Suidwa's tears fell in large drops. Mom, why are you treating me like this? I'm your child too. The mother looked at her with disgust, then turned to comfort me. Shushu, she's not quite right in the head. Should mom get you a different maid? I shook my head. No. I want her and only her. It has to be her. Anyone else would be utterly dull. 3 months had passed since the fire. 5. The Xia couple brought Xia to the door. He kept hesitating and hiding behind the Xia couple, not daring to come out. Madame Xia looked at me with reddened eyes. Shushu, tell auntie, why did the door suddenly close? The mention of the fire terrified me. I shrank back and buried myself in my mother's arms. My mother quickly held me tight. Father glared at them disapprovingly. What kind of question is that? The psychologist said Shushu has trauma-related stress. Stop bringing up the fire with her. Madame Xia burst into tears, and then said that just as he was about to run out, the door was closed. We just wanted to ask again if Shushu saw who closed the door. No, I didn't. I lifted my head from my mother's embrace, revealing innocent eyes. The wind was so strong. I went over after seeing the fire, but I was too slow. My father rubbed my head. It's okay, sweetheart, you don't need to blame yourself. After speaking, he turned his gaze to Mr. and Mrs. Xia. I know you're also concerned about Anin, but Shushu's condition is already very bad. The police have investigated. There were no fingerprints on the door, no traces of a third person. The door is so light that if there had been strong wind, it would have simply closed. Actually, there was no wind that day, not even a breeze, but there were no surveillance cameras there either. In my previous life when Xian locked me inside, he claimed it was the wind that blew it shut. Everyone believed it. Brilliant. This method was actually suggested by him to me. He has no one to blame but himself. Being meddlesome and playing with fire. Suidwa walked out with guests present. She didn't need to work. Her eyes lit up when she saw the Xia couple, immediately ran forward. Hello, uncle and aunt. The Xia couple looked puzzled. What's this? Mother smiled faintly. Old Wang's adopted daughter. Here to play with Shushu. Suidwa struggled to maintain a smile on her face. Spotting the figure behind the Xia couple, she rushed over immediately. Come join us and play. As she spoke, she reached out and pulled Xian forward. Ah! After clearly seeing Xian's face, Suidwa let out a scream and fell to the ground. Watching this scene, I almost burst out laughing. Didn't expect this, did you? The handsome and perfect fiancé from your past life has turned into an ugly monster with a face full of pits and scars. Xian has recovered, but the burn scars cannot be repaired. The burn area covers up to 90% of his body, leaving no healthy skin for transplantation. Pretty miserable, right? But my previous life was like this too. At least his parents still love him while my parents heartlessly abandoned me. He is luckier than me. How frustrating. What are you doing? The mother scolded Suidwa angrily, but the moment she saw Xian, she clearly froze too. The intensity of her past fondness for Xian is now matched by her current dislike. Suidwa couldn't believe her eyes. How could this be? After saying this, she turned to look at me. Lin Shu, it must be your doing, right? Slap. Her mother angrily slapped her across the face. She covered her face as tears instantly streamed down. You hit me. The mother couldn't take it anymore. Shushu, must it be her? Mom can't stand her anymore. Can't handle this already. I endured it for a long time in my previous life. You'll have to bear with it obediently. I glance at Xian, trembling voice. Anin is so ugly. I'm scared. Xian froze instantly in place as if stripped naked and subjected to ridicule. Shushu, please don't be afraid of me. Okay. He seems very upset. I just gave him back the words he said to me. Ahem. My father coughed tactically. Old Xia, let's cancel the marriage alliance between our families. As you can see, Shushu is afraid of him. President Xia is furious. What do you mean by this? What about the collaboration between our families? The Lin and Xia families are preparing a major project with enormous benefits. Without the bond of marriage, neither side would trust the other. President Xia is a profit-driven person who would never willingly give up this project. My father was also somewhat embarrassed, but he didn't want a freak as his son-in-law at all. I gently tugged at my mother's sleeve, and when she looked at me, I raised my hand to point at Suidwa. Mother's eyes lit up. You mean, she smiled, looking at the Xia couple, marry Suidwa. Madame Xia was stunned. What are you saying? She's just a chauffeur's adopted Daughter, my father caught on quickly. So what? Old Juan has been my driver for over a decade. He's my most trusted person. As long as you proceed with the marriage alliance, our cooperation continues. Otherwise, let's terminate it. The Xia couple reluctantly agreed in the end. On one hand, it was for the sake of benefits. On the other hand, with Xian in this state, even with wealth, he might not necessarily marry a particularly good woman in the future, although Suidwa was just the driver's adopted daughter. She was quite beautiful. Suidwa couldn't believe her ears. No, I don't want to. I refuse. Slap. My mother slapped her again. Then go back to your orphanage. The marriage was finally settled. 6. Because Suidwa didn't want to return to the orphanage, she still deluded herself into thinking that staying would allow her to regain the wealth and glory of her past life. Even if she married Xian, she could still become a wealthy socialite. From then on, she served me tea and water every day. She carried my school bag and held an umbrella for me when it rained. She wouldn't lay a hand on me so easily. She's waiting for an opportunity. At the age of 10, after serving as a maid for 3 full years, she finally got her chance. On the way home from school, she mentioned a street with really delicious candy and asked if I wanted to go buy some. I agreed, without any hesitation. She excitedly carried my backpack as we walked over. I reached out to take my backpack back. You go. Stand in line to buy it. I'll wait here for you. Okay. A glint of mischief flashed in her eyes watching her retreating figure. I slowly smiled, darting into a corner. I pulled out my phone and started composing a text. Blue and white school uniform, high ponytail. Only one matches this characteristic. After sending it, I deleted the text message. After buying food, Suidwa turned around, didn't see me, and smiled happily. Did she think I was kidnapped like in the previous life? She ate cream puffs while skipping along with light steps. A van stopped beside her, and a large hand pulled her inside. The door closed. The vehicle drove away. After witnessing this scene, I called my father on the phone. My father's voice was gentle. Shoo shoo, what's wrong? Duo is missing. I said quietly, I'm alone, and I'm scared. My father came to pick me up immediately. My school bag has a recording function, which they installed for my safety. After listening to the recording, it's clear that Suidwa dragged me into that alley. According to what I said, she disappeared after going shopping. They went to report it to the police but couldn't find it. In my previous life, Suidwa abandoned me on that street, letting me get kidnapped. Even if I was burned into a hideous monster in that remote mountain village, there were still people who wanted me. It only cost $100. Poke some holes in a sack and put it over my head. From then on, I lived with a sack over my head. At first, I worked as their laborer, doing the heaviest jobs and eating the worst food. When I turned 14, those unmarriageable uncles and elders started sneaking into my room. My body was covered in scars, so I never took off my clothes. Just pulling down my pants was enough. In 3 years, I got pregnant 4 times. I pretended to be obedient the whole time until I finally found a chance to escape. Over 7 years, that van would frequently come to the village selling several girls. The police never caught them, but I did memorize their phone number, so Suidwa repeated her old trick, hoping I'd be abducted. I was also plotting to sell her off. She's so beautiful. Surely more people would like her in that mountain village. Suidwa was trafficked, halting the collaboration between the Lin and Xia families. Neither said to continue, nor explicitly stated to terminate. 7 years passed in a flash. I've grown up. Excellent genetic inheritance, coupled with the energy my parents invested in me, and ethereal grace, with a face of flawless perfection, academic excellence paired with a photographic memory, honed to near-perfect recall through training. Graduated from a prestigious university at 16, now assisting father in managing the family business. My parents took me to high society banquets across domestic and international circles. I will always be the most eye-catching one. Most importantly, the unattainable crown prince of the capital's elite circle is currently pursuing me with fervor. Swirling my glass of red wine, I suddenly thought of Suidwa. I wonder how she's doing. As long as she doesn't seek death herself, she must still be alive now. It's time to bring her back. I took the initiative to ask my father for the cooperation plan between the Lin and Xia families. President Xia is getting old. People have become even greedier. Hearing that this collaboration still had potential, they eagerly came to me. I pushed the contract in front of him. This project will continue our collaboration, but it will all be handed over to Xia Corporation to handle. Hearing this, President Xia was surprised. Why? The Lin Group has nearly completed its transformation, and this project isn't suitable for them. I'll only take the shares and won't hold back on required investments. As for how to proceed, let the Xia Group handle it. The windfall made President Xia somewhat hesitant. I sighed. Uncle Xia, our families have been close friends for generations. When I was young, I really didn't think before speaking to Xian, and I feel very guilty about it. We previously agreed to do this project, and no matter what, it won't be cancelled, don't you trust me? Only then did he feel relieved and happily agreed. 5 months later, an accident occurred at Sia Corporation's newly developed project, resulting in 8 deaths. It was a shoddy construction project, and President Sia was taken away for investigation. Watching the news broadcast on my phone, I laughed and fell back onto the bed, laughed until tears came out. Ha, dead, all dead, good riddance, I heard. Some fell from great heights, with steel piercing straight through their temples. Some foundations collapsed, crushing people into pulp. That scene, just imagining it, must be absolutely beautiful. Why would I be so kind as to let President Sia make money? I just know his true nature. Invest in him, but keep tight control over the funds to control costs. He was reluctant to spend from his own Sia family's funds, so costs were strictly controlled, using the lowest quality materials for everything. In the previous life, the Sia family also had shoddy construction projects. Though no one died, all 8 deaths in this lifetime were caused by me. I disguised myself to recruit workers, deliberately sending the message to the village chief in the mountain village. 1,000 a day. Who could resist such temptation? Out of the dozens who signed up in the village, I only picked those 8 who had bullied me. Then I stuffed them into that construction site. I laughed until I nearly went mad. Those who wronged me in my past life shall meet no peaceful end in this one. And, for more, the police visited the hometowns of the 8 people who died at the construction site. They discovered Suidwa, who had been trafficked. 8. Then they brought her back. Her skin was dark, her eyes lifeless, her arms were covered in scars. Upon seeing my parents, she shed murky tears. Mom and Dad, I've finally returned to you. She's either still delusional or she's gone mad. The disdain on the parents' faces was unmistakable. Just held my hand and said, stay away from her, she's filthy, who knows if she's carrying any diseases. I looked indifferently at Suidwa without saying a word. She yelled at me, Lin Shu, it's your fault, you deserve to die. Why wasn't it you? You should have been the one tied up. Slap. Her mother slapped her across the face. Only realized after finishing, hurriedly went to wash hands. So disgusting. I looked straight into Suidwa's fiery eyes and said coolly, seems you've truly gone mad. Had a hard time there, didn't you? I'll forgive your rudeness this time. You'll die a horrible death. She roared. That's a bit funny. I already died a miserable death in my past life. This time it should be their turn. Did she forget? Suidwa is so crazy. Old Juan doesn't want to acknowledge her. In the end, it was me who spoke up and had her stay with the Lin family, still living in that nanny's room. I thought Suidwa would make a big scene, but on the contrary, throughout the entire week, she was quieter than anyone else, did nothing. This attitude couldn't help but catch my attention. Barking dogs seldom bite. Who knows what she's scheming now? Busy or not, most of my time is spent on work. Every day when I arrive at the office, there's always a bouquet of flowers with jewelry placed on my desk. I grab it and toss it aside. Men are nothing but an eyesore, yet this annoying man keeps pushing himself into my sight. He parked his car right at the company entrance, leaning lazily against the body, head bowed while playing with his phone, his expression cold and aloof, standing there with his 1.9-meter frame next to a luxury car worth millions. He was impossible to miss. Seeing me come out, he put away his phone. Miss Lin, care to join me for dinner? I put on my sunglasses. Thanks, but no thanks. With that, I got into my car. He smirked slightly but didn't insist. I just got home. Suidwa came out of the room, dragging her suitcase and rolling her eyes at me. Where are you going? I asked. None of your business. I won't live under someone else's roof. I'm moving out right now. I didn't stop her. Watching her figure fade into the distance, where could she possibly go? As long as she's on Earth, she can't escape my grasp. I went to bed early that night, tossed and shaken in sleep, opening eyes to utter darkness, both hands and feet bound tight. Suidwa, you've truly lost it. The car finally came to a stop in the suburbs. The trunk opened. 9. Suidwa reached out and dragged me down. I hit the ground, gritting my teeth in pain. Suidwa stepped on my stomach with one foot, looking down at me from above. Lin Shu, your time has come. She wore all her malice openly on her face. She bent down and was about to slap me across the face repeatedly. I raised my legs and kicked hard at her knees. I seized the chance to roll under the car. Lin Shu, you damn bitch, get out here, Suidwa roared, kicking the car door with all her might. Can't you climb in yourself? Came a man's voice. I recognized that voice. Xian. Oh, she's teamed up with Xian. Expected as much, but it's quite tricky. I know they're up to something, but I didn't expect them to act so suddenly without proper preparation. My chances are slim. Suidwa crawled under the car, trying to pull me in. I curled up, waited for the right moment, and kicked her face hard. Blood streamed from her nose. Yet she didn't retreat an inch, determined to drag me out. Lin Shu, I swear I'll kill you with my own hands, my life is already ruined, and I won't let you get away unscathed. But no matter how she tried, she couldn't lay a hand on me. Instead, I kicked her several times. Gotta admit, it's pretty tough. Must have taken quite a beating back in the village. If it weren't for my plan, she probably wouldn't have even tried to escape. We're stuck in a tug-of-war. Suddenly, my arm was seized tightly, and I was dragged out, facing Xian's horrifically disfigured face head-on. My heart sank. He raised his hand and slapped me across the face. Then he lifted his foot and kicked me hard in the abdomen. I rolled over twice, the pain making me break out in a cold sweat. Xian's voice was vicious. Lin Shu, you're the one who ruined my face. Su Yidwa added fuel to the fire. Believe me, in our past life, she was the one who got disfigured, and she was also the one who got trafficked. Xian raised his head, his hoarse voice sounding utterly chilling. Why are you doing this to me? We grew up together. Didn't we? Why would you want to harm me? Am I ugly? He squatted down, grabbed my hair, and forced me to look up at him. Say it, am I ugly? I chuckled coldly. Xian, don't you have any self-awareness about your ugliness? Let me tell you, you're hideous, so ugly it defies all human comprehension. I wasn't afraid of provoking him. If they were capable of kidnapping me, they'd clearly already decided to silence me permanently. Since I'm doomed to suffer anyway, why should I flatter them like some groveling coward? Ugly, you think I'm ugly? He laughed instead of getting angry. I'll take you right here. With that, he pressed himself onto me, planting messy kisses all over my neck. Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. I bit down hard on his ear and yanked fiercely. Warm blood splashed onto my face. Xian let out a scream and collapsed trembling to the side. I tore off his ear with my bare hands. Tui. I spat the ear onto the ground. So filthy, disgusting. Su Yidwa was terrified. Lin Shu, you're insane. She rushed forward, but a tall figure stepped in front of her first. With a swift kick of his long leg, Su Yidwa was sent tumbling. The next moment, I fell into a firm embrace. It's all right now, he whispered softly, comforting me. I'm here. I haphazardly wiped the blood from my face onto his expensive shirt. Jiangju, what brings you here? I wanted to grab late-night snacks with you. Your housekeeper noticed you were missing. Checked the surveillance and saw you being kidnapped, so I followed the trail. Thank you for his courage in coming to find me without hesitation. No need to thank me, just repay me with your hand in marriage. He reached out and touched my swollen cheek. I looked at him. Who hit me? As soon as I finished asking, Xian somehow managed to get up. He yanked me hard, then pressed a dagger against my neck. Get away. His hand kept trembling. A sharp pain shot through the neck, followed by warm liquid flowing down. Jiangju's pupils constricted violently, but he truly dared not move. Recklessly, only maintaining a grim expression while confronting him. Ha 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 ha. Su Yidwa burst into laughter. Lin Shu, in the end, you still have to die. Do you know how I've lived these 7 years? I've toiled like an ox, bearing 5 children. All of this is your fault. I've always thought, if I could just survive and get out, I would definitely kill you. She kept laughing as she spoke. The laughter soon turned to tears. I remained unmoved, watching her coldly. Who hasn't been through those kinds of troubles before? Xian leaned close to my ear and whispered, this is retribution. You should have foreseen this day when you locked me up. The pain in my neck grew sharper as the blade pressed deeper. I turned my gaze and caught a glimmer of light in the distance. Move aside, I said to Jiangju. Jiangju was visibly stunned for a moment, but obediently stepped aside. Bang! Xian's laughter stopped abruptly. His forehead exploded, blood splattering everywhere, then collapsed straight down. The police have arrived. He was armed with a knife and had already harmed me. For my safety, upon receiving the order, a sniper was arranged to take the shot. Su Yidwa was arrested. As the handcuffs were being put on, she was still shaking her head in disbelief. Impossible. How could this happen? The one who should have died was clearly her. I was sent to the hospital. The knife wound on the neck was quite deep. Fortunately, it didn't cut the major artery. After being stitched up, I was admitted to a VIP ward. Jiangju kept vigil by my side, with dark circles under his eyes. Do you really like me? I asked. He looked at me with heartache. Do you like me because I'm pretty? I asked again. Yes, I like your beauty, your intelligence, your composure. Lin Shu, I want to make you smile. His voice was very soft, as if speaking to himself. Laugh. I never laugh in front of others. Maybe he doesn't know I can actually laugh when I'm alone. I laugh like crazy. Upon learning about my kidnapping, my parents rushed back from abroad in a panic. She looked at the wound on my neck, tears streaming down her face. 11. Repeatedly asking the doctor if it would leave a scar. Only after being assured it wouldn't did she finally relax, clutching my hand. Shushu, it's okay now. Su Yidwa has been sentenced to prison, 8 to 10 years. She won't be getting out. I remained expressionless. Just 8 to 10 years. What kind of punishment is that? It was crimes can only be atoned for by death. I want to go home, I said. They took me home and cared for me tenderly. My 18th birthday arrived, because I was still injured. No coming-of-age ceremony was held. It was Jeongju who took the initiative to visit. A group of bodyguards followed behind, carrying gift boxes. Miss Lin, happy birthday. Like a lingering ghost, I want to, but it doesn't seem that bad. My parents were overjoyed. Although the Lin family is a prestigious clan, compared to the Jiang family, there's still some distance. If we could form a marriage alliance with the Jiang family, the Lin family would surely soar to new heights, but they don't know that they can no longer control my life, because on this birthday, I've carefully prepared a gift for myself. Shushu, Mom and Dad need to go to the company for a while. We'll celebrate your birthday with you tonight. The mother smiled gently. I looked at her. Uncle Wan doesn't seem to be here. It's fine. Your dad can drive. Father nodded with a smile, reassuring me. I didn't speak again, just watched as he picked up the car key on the far left. After they left, Jeongju watched cartoons with me for a while. Do you like watching this? Keeping a childlike heart, I said. He placed all the gifts in front of me. Open the gifts. A total of 18 gift boxes. I slowly unwrapped them. You can tell he put a lot of thought into preparing this. Do you like it? He asked. As soon as the words were spoken, the phone rang. The phone was placed on the table. Note Dad. My eyes flashed as I raised the corners of my lips, smiling at him for the first time. I like it. Happy birthday, I said to myself in my heart. Then answer the incoming call. Your parents were in a car accident and are being treated at the Third People's Hospital. Please come as soon as possible. I froze, and my phone fell to the ground. Jeongju was still immersed in my smile from earlier, and upon seeing this, hurriedly asked, "What's wrong?" I turned to look at him, tears streaming down my face. My parents, they were in a car accident. Jeongju drove me to the hospital. At the operating room entrance, I signed one critical condition notice after another. For a full 3 hours, I swayed and nearly collapsed. Jeongju caught me in his arms. Sit down for a while. Okay, I nodded weakly. His heart ached as he held me tighter. The surgery wasn't over yet when the police arrived first. We've discovered the car was tampered with, and it's registered under your name, Lin Shu. Do you know anything about this situation? I blinked slowly, taking a long moment before finally comprehending their question. What do you mean? You suspect me? That possibility isn't ruled out. Don't joke about this. Jeongju looked at the police. It couldn't be her. I was there when they left. Director Lin took the car keys himself. There were dozens of keys. If she did it, how could she guarantee Director Lin would choose that specific car? Would she tamper with every single vehicle? Hearing this, the police nodded. That possibility isn't ruled out. Then he looked at me and said, Miss Lin, may we inspect the other vehicles in your garage? With downcast eyes, I replied weakly, go ahead. The surgery was over. The outcome wasn't very promising. The mother is a high-level paraplegic, destined to spend her life confined to bed. 12. The father is brain dead, with almost no chance of regaining consciousness. Hearing this news, I buried my face in Jeongju's shoulder, trembling with sobs. Shoo, he didn't know how to comfort me, just quietly patted my back. Don't cry anymore. Okay, let's go see them. I wasn't crying at all. I was laughing very happily. It doesn't matter if I don't die. They pampered me all my life in this lifetime, as if making up for some sins from the past life. I stopped laughing, and when I looked up again, my eyes were lifeless. Neither parent woke up. I arranged the best hospital room and highest grade nursing care for them. I stayed alone in the hospital room while Jeongju waited for me outside the door. Looking at their sleeping faces, I forced a smile and grinned at them. Dad, Mom, didn't you want to see me smile? Didn't you want to hear me call you? I'm calling you now. What a pity, you can't hear me, nor see me. It's okay, I'll take care of you for the rest of your lives. You might think I'm ugly, but I don't mind you at all. After leaving the hospital, Jeongju and I went to the police station. According to the investigation, no issues were found with the other vehicles. Moreover, a thorough investigation into my relationship with my parents revealed I had absolutely no motive for the crime. 13. Additionally, both Jeongju and his bodyguard can testify that my father took the key himself, and just like that, I was completely cleared of suspicion. Finally, the police found 2 strands of hair in the crashed car. Tests confirmed they belonged to Xian, but Xian was already dead. Dead men tell no tales. However, he had kidnapped me and nearly killed me. The police have basically concluded that he was the one who tampered with it. It's just that no one expected it would be driven away by my parents through a strange twist of fate. No one would know that the hair was pulled out by me when Xian kidnapped me, nor would they know that my father is left-handed and has a habit of taking things from the left. It's already very late. The police said I could go back now. I suddenly asked, is Suidwa still in detention? Can I go see her? Suidwa and I grew up together, so the police thought I was being sentimental. She was trying to kill me, yet I still visited her. Everyone thinks I'm too kind. Jiangju also frowned. What's the point of seeing her? You can go back first. He paused. You go ahead. I'll wait for you outside. I went in. After a careful glance around, there were no surveillance cameras, and the officer had left. In this small space, only Suidwa and I remained. She glared at me fiercely. What are you here for? To laugh at me? I smiled faintly. Suidwa, let me tell you a secret, one you don't know. Actually, you're Xian's biological sister. What nonsense are you talking? I'm not lying. In my past life, I always thought you resembled Lady Xia a bit. In this life, I secretly verified it. It's true. I smiled at her. What? She was too shocked to speak. In your past life, you even married Xian. Suidwa, how did your brother taste? She clenched her fists, trembling uncontrollably. You're lying to me. Right, stop talking nonsense. There's no way. I sighed. Ah, what a pity. President Xia is in prison for the Jerry-built project. Xian is dead. And although the Xia family is not what it used to be, a starved camel is still bigger than a horse, roughly estimated. It's still worth about 40 or 50 million. A glimmer flashed in her eyes. I couldn't help but laugh. However, all of this is in Madame Xia's hands. I'll find a way to take it. If I can't get it, I'll bankrupt the Xia family. Don't think you can inherit the family fortune just by getting out of prison. You, Suidwa gritted her teeth. Lin Shu, I'm already like this. What more do you want from me? I stood up with a smile. By the way, you guessed right. It was indeed me who had you kidnapped. You. Before she could finish her sentence, she suddenly clutched her chest and curled up in pain. I watched her struggle with amusement for about a minute before hastily running out. Officer, she seems to be sick. Just before he rushed out, Wu Jiang suddenly had a heart attack. The police asked me what happened with a tearful voice. I told her my parents were in a car accident, and she suddenly acted like this. The officer didn't believe it. What does your parents' accident have to do with her? I shook my head. I don't know either, but she's always called my parents mom and dad since childhood. The director, Uncle Wang, they all know about it. She's always been strange, whether the police believed me or not. I still left. She died of a heart attack. Having never gone to the hospital for a checkup before, no one knew she had heart problems, and I bear no responsibility whatsoever. My birthday passed in a flurry of chaos, but it was the happiest day of my life, so happy that I forgot to suppress the smile on my lips. 14 Jiangju was driving when he suddenly asked me, did you do all this? I paused and glanced at him. He kept his eyes on the road, voice calm. When you were kidnapped, both Su Idwa and Xian said some strange things. Human trafficking, arson. Jiangju, I called him. Instead of answering, he asked, do you dare to date me? He didn't answer me and took me home. I went in without looking back, stepping over the scattered gifts on the floor without hesitation. Jiangju, I don't need anyone's love because I don't trust anyone. Loving myself is enough for me. Story 2. At the wedding, the green tea girl I had once helped publicly exposed my crimes in front of everyone. She slandered me, saying that I had humiliated her in every possible way and even tried to control her physically. She is a hypocritical scoundrel. My fiancé, whom I had trusted the most, also accused me with a pained expression. I never thought you were such a person. The green tea girl was live streaming on the spot, with tears in her eyes and a smile on her face. She said amidst my shock and bewilderment, I'm revealing this today in the hope that thousands and thousands of girls can be as brave as I am and stand up against authoritarianism. This speech, which seemed like that of a strong female protagonist, instantly gained her countless followers. However, I was stabbed to death by some extreme fans. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the moment when my fiancé wanted to ask my lawyer friend to help the green tea girl. I nodded readily. Sure, I must help. The stage is already set. If I don't step onto it, how can the play continue? 1. In my previous life, I died at the wedding that I thought would be the happiest moment of my life when the MC invited the bridesmaids to send their blessings. San Chuxia, who was one of the bridesmaids, directly projected the screen and made public the conversations I had with her. Moreover, she cut out the parts that were favorable to me and only showed the conversations that were disadvantageous to me. Xia Heng immediately branded me as a disgrace on the spot. I will definitely not marry such a person, Song Chusha sobbed and questioned me. Pei-ku, you're jealous of the friendship between me and Xia Heng as classmates. You keep harassing me, carry out PUA on me, and even try to arrange people to control my movements. What goes around comes around. I will expose your true face to everyone. Then, suddenly, a person rushed onto the stage and stabbed at me with a knife. I dodged in a hurry, but was pushed forward by a force. When I turned around, I only saw Song Chusha retracting her hand. However, her movement was so fast that no one noticed it at first. Xia Heng was stunned for a moment, but as soon as Song Chusha grabbed him and threw herself into his arms, crying that she was scared, he forgot about me, his fiancée, and let me be stabbed to death. It hurt so much. With my last bit of strength, I picked up the knife on the ground and rushed over, stabbing it into Xia Heng's chest, and before they could react, I stabbed him several more times. Let's die together, you scumbag. The reason I stabbed Xia Heng was just that he happened to be beside me at that time. It was actually a bit too lenient for Song Chusha. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting in Xia Heng's office, with Xia Heng and Song Chusha sitting opposite me. I immediately realized that I had returned to the time when I first got involved in this doomed relationship in my previous life. At this moment, the two people opposite were trying to use my connections to help Song Chusha's father solve a troublesome matter. Hearing that I readily agreed to help, Xia Heng was not surprised at all. After all, I had always put his needs first. Song Chusha was a bit overjoyed. That's great, thank you, Kiki. You're so lucky to have such a good husband like Xia Heng. If it weren't for him this time, I wouldn't know what to do. In my previous life, why didn't I notice this strong green tea flavor in her words? So I put my hands together and said piously, since Xia Heng is enough, then I will pray for you. Song Chusha was stunned. What are you talking nonsense about? Didn't we talk about asking you to find lawyer Zhang Yang? I looked at the two of them and blinked. Of course not. Who do you think you are? Zhang Yang is a top lawyer in the country. The cases he takes on have never been lost. If we weren't college classmates, Xia Heng wouldn't have thought of asking me to jump the queue, because the cases in Zhang Yang's hands are already scheduled until next year. Song Chusha stood up all of a sudden. Pei-ku, you're playing tricks on me. I looked at her disdainfully. Song Chusha, in what capacity are you questioning me? You're just Xia Heng's high school classmate. Originally, out of consideration for him, I could have passed on a message for you. Now, forget it. Song Chusha was furious. Without Xia Heng, who do you think you are? What right do you have to show off in front of me here? Do you believe that I'll go out and say that you're bullying me with your power? I rushed over and directly slapped her twice, one on each side of her face. I'm telling you, this is what it means to bully people with power. Song Chusha was completely stunned. It was only after I finished slapping her that she reacted and pounced on me with a scream. Trying to fight back, Xia Heng quickly reached out and grabbed her waist to stop her. Chusha, calm down. There's still the matter of the lawyer. Song Chusha stopped as if struck by lightning. She was filled with grief and indignation, but she couldn't do anything to me. In the end, ignoring Xia Heng's comfort, she covered her face and ran out. Xia Heng quickly followed her out. I sat on the sofa and waited, as steady as a mountain. When you're asking for help, you should have the attitude of someone asking for help. Moreover, having been reborn, I don't care about your face or dignity. The most important thing is that my mammary glands stay unblocked. Song Chusha's case is neither too difficult nor too easy. Her father trusted others too easily and attracted a lot of people to invest in the project. He even overestimated his ability and became a guarantor. As a result, when those people ran away with the money, as the guarantor, he was immediately burdened with tens of millions of yuan in debt. In my previous life, because of a word from Xia Heng, I found Zhang Yang. Out of consideration for me, Zhang Yang used all of his connections. In the end, not only did he find the scammer, but he also helped Song Chusha's father recover the investment money. I was involved in this case throughout the whole process, and I even paid the lawyer's fees. In my previous life, I never told them about this. They just thought that they had easily hired a top lawyer in the industry and casually solved this troublesome matter. I just didn't expect that my sincere efforts would raise these two heartless people. At that time, Zhang Yang told me a lot of precautions that required Song Chusha and her father to cooperate with, including what to say and what not to do. I helped convey these requirements, but unexpectedly, they became the evidence for her to frame me. This time, I won't get involved in their matter anymore. I want to see how Song Chusha can turn the tables on this too. It took Xia Heng a long time to come back. He hesitated for a moment and then said, Kiki, Chusha was just too anxious and said things without thinking. You've always been very kind-hearted. Please help her. She's really pitiful. Is she pitiful? Aren't those families who were deceived by the scammer and her father and lured into the partnership pitiful? Whenever it came to Song Chuxia, Xia Heng would unconditionally take her side. Why did I always think that this was just normal classmates' affection before? Could a high school classmate who graduated many years ago and who seemed to have barely said a few words to him make him give his heart and soul like this? I didn't dare to look up at Xia Heng, for fear that the hatred in my eyes would be noticed by him too early. After all, the company will go public in a month. With the shares I hold, I will soon become a multimillionaire. I deliberately softened my tone and said with a hint of grievance, I was just too angry. I'm not the kind of person who would turn a blind eye to someone in need. Moreover, you know Zhang Yang's rules. I was just joking when I said I would pray for her. How could she say such things to me? It's too much. After hearing what I said, Xia Heng could only say reluctantly, she really shouldn't have said that. She was just too anxious. You can help make the connection first, and we'll see about other things later. I nodded readily. It's just about saying a few words. Who cares what I say? Just as I was about to leave, Xia Heng called me back again. Ms. Pei, wait a moment. I turned around in confusion. Mr. Xia, is there anything else? We had once agreed to conduct business affairs in the company in a formal manner, so when it came to company matters, we would directly address each other by our positions. Xia Heng motioned for me to sit down again, and then he took out an agreement to give up the original shares. I carefully read through the agreement. The company would buy back the original shares in my hands at 1.5 times the estimated listing price and also bear the cost of my purchase of the original shares. Calculated, it could give me 5 million yuan. This was indeed a very generous condition. If I didn't know that the company's stock price would soar after going public and that the value of the shares in my hands would be far more than 5 million yuan, I might have agreed. It seemed that he wanted to kick me out of the company. I looked up. Mr. Xia, what is this? Xia Heng was very cautious. Ms. Pei, considering our relationship, I think it would be more appropriate for you not to hold the company's shares in the future. I remained silent. What kind of nonsense was this? Xia Heng licked his lips and continued. Ms. Pei, think about it. So many couples start a company together, but in the end, not only does the company go bankrupt, but the family also falls apart. I'm doing this for our future. I thought for a moment. Then there's no problem. I'll just keep the shares and not participate in the company's operation and management. I'll step back and stay behind the scenes. Once the company goes public, I'll sell the shares. You can do whatever you want. I won't work for you anymore. I guess Xia Heng didn't expect that I wouldn't take the bait even with such a good condition. Ms. Pei, you're the vice president of our company. I understand your feelings, but I still think you should prioritize the family. What's more, we're family. We share weal and woe. It's more beneficial for the company's development if the shares are all concentrated in my hands. I didn't respond. I just kept my head down and remained silent, indicating my refusal. Xia Heng gritted his teeth and said reluctantly, looking a bit pained, well, considering that you're a founding member of the company has decided to buy back the original shares in your hands at a total price of 10 million yuan and transfer the money to your account in one lump sum. What do you think, Ms. Pei? Even if the company goes public, you might not earn as much as you can get now. I knew this was already his limit. Moreover, with his attitude, I didn't want to stay here any longer, so I looked up with a sad expression. Actually, I really have deep feelings for the company, but since you're thinking so much about our future, I have to accept it. After all, my future is also yours. Xia Heng quickly asked his secretary to draw up a new agreement and asked me to sign it. The whole process took less than 10 minutes. After seeing the information about the money arriving in my bank card, I was ready to leave. Xia Heng called me back again. I looked at another agreement in front of me. It was an agreement to terminate the labor contract and also included a 2N compensation for me. This eagerness to kick me out of the company wouldn't have happened at this time in my previous life. After all, at this moment, I was still a senior employee of the company and in control of most of the company's business. Laying me off was equivalent to cutting off the main artery unless he was so confident that he didn't care about my leaving at all. I belatedly realized that Xia Heng might have been reborn too. After all, only a reborn Xia Heng could act with such confidence. It seemed that I stabbed him quite accurately at that time and didn't leave him any chance to survive. However, this time I was really confused. What deep hatred did we have that he needed to drive me to the brink of despair like this? If we really had to look into it, it should be me who had the hatred. 3. Xia Heng and I used to be comrades with a tacit understanding of cooperation. When the company was first established, I was the first employee of the company, starting as an assistant. I also took on administrative and personnel tasks. Later, I participated in product testing work later. When there was a shortage of developers, I taught myself the relevant courses and started to write code and do development clumsily, starting from the front end and then moving on to full-stack development as the company's products gradually got on track. Xia Heng transferred me to the marketing department to expand the market. I led the people in the marketing department to take on one project after another bit by bit. I had put in so much effort to get to where I am today, and everything I have now is what I deserve now. As the vice president, I have also received the original shares that I deserve, just waiting for the company to go public so that I can finally have a good life. However, on the eve of the company's listing, Xia Heng asked me to sign an agreement to give up my original shares, although he gave me a generous compensation. We both knew that this amount of money could never compare to the soaring market value of the company after it went public. I thought that was the end of it, but he actually wanted me to resign. Xia Heng finally seemed a bit guilty, his eyes were wandering, and he didn't dare to look me in the eye. Pei Ku, after all, the price at which the company bought back your shares this time is much higher than the estimated price. To avoid the discussions of other shareholders, I suggest that you resign. Don't worry, the company will give you all the compensation you deserve. I smiled self-deprecatingly. I understand, Mr. Xia. I request that the compensation for me be transferred to my account immediately in one lump sum today. If that's possible, I'll sign right away. Xia Heng agreed. In the end, the two of us put on a show of relieving someone of their military power over a cup of wine in front of his office door. We shook hands with smiles on our faces, gave each other a brief and polite hug, and finally said goodbye reluctantly. However, the company hasn't gone public yet. At this time, the Zhao Kuangyin is not yet the emperor Taizu of Song, and I'm not the sworn brother Shi Shoshin either. It's really disgusting. Everyone looked at me in shock as I packed up the things on my desk and said goodbye to them one by one. I just said that there were some family matters. Although Mr. Xia was magnanimous enough to allow me to take a long leave of absence, I couldn't bear to delay the company's business, so I volunteered to resign. Finally, I left the company amidst everyone's regret. I had a lot of things, but I didn't plan to keep most of them. In the end, I only took away some of the things I used frequently and the more than 10 million yuan in my bank card, which felt so cold compared with the tens of millions of yuan I had in my previous life. This was of course not enough. However, every minute and every second I spent with Xia Heng made me feel disgusted. Even if he hadn't done this today, I would have found a way to leave. I just didn't expect that he would take action first. I don't know when Xia Heng was reborn, but he didn't show any signs before, and now he suddenly wants to kick me out of the company. Could it be that he was just reborn? He was so eager. The only person I could think of was Song Chuxia. I also attended several of Xia Heng's high school classmates' gatherings. Xia Heng attended every year, and he even organized them out of his own pocket many times. I used to joke with him that after graduating for so many years, his feelings for his high school classmates were still so deep, and I wondered if there was a white moonlight among them. Xia Heng had a serious expression and told me not to say such things anymore. He said that no one could doubt his feelings for me. Among the few times I attended, Song Chuxia was always there. Song Chuxia originally came from a wealthy family. However, in recent years, her father had been deceived by some scammers who promised quick money and fell into their trap. Not only did her own family go bankrupt, but it also dragged down her relatives and friends, causing them to lose everything, and her father himself also carried a huge amount of debt. Song Chuxia was undoubtedly beautiful, like a delicate flower on the verge of withering. Sitting there with a slight frown, she evoked pity and affection. It wasn't until much later that I learned Song Chuxia came from a well-off family and had a cheerful personality. She treated Xia Heng, who came from a single-parent family at that time, equally and liked to include him in everything she did. This became a ray of light during Xia Heng's sensitive and vulnerable high school years. That's why, in his previous life, he could push me into the abyss together with Song Chuxia. The reason he pursued me was merely that I had worked with him for many years and was an excellent assistant, both in business and in life. What's more, after the company went public, I held a large amount of the company's equity, and he even made me the legal representative of the company. Marrying me was to maximize his interests. I was so stupid that I actually thought he had real feelings for me. After we got together, I obeyed him in everything and gave him my wholehearted devotion. When Xia Heng proposed helping Song Chuxia, I agreed without hesitation and even took the initiative to introduce my lawyer friend to assist her. Song Chuxia knew all this. I never expected that my kindness would be repaid with ingratitude. Just thinking about what I did in my previous life makes me want to slap myself. I was incredibly stupid, for when I told Zhang Yang the news of my Departure, he looked relieved. You finally come to your senses. My eyes welled up with tears. During the year I was with Xia Heng, I treated him like a god. After all, starting my career under such a leader, I grew rapidly. We had been through hardships together, and he even took the initiative to pursue me after achieving success. Although it was just a simple be with me, I was once naive and gave him my sincere love. Taking meticulous care of him, I loved him so much, looking up to him. And I wished I could tell the whole world, but that me from the previous life has already died. In this life, I will make them pay the price they deserve. Song Chuxia remained quiet for a long time, and even Xia Heng behaved himself. I didn't even need to ask around. News came to me on its own. It turned out that recently, they had been blocked at their doorstep by debt collectors and didn't dare to go out at all. Song Chuxia had always acted like a spoiled young lady. Now, being pushed to such a state, she no longer had the nerve to show off in front of me. Currently, Zhang Yang was her only hope, but since I had clearly refused her last time, she had to carefully plan to achieve her goal. I waited patiently, and I didn't have to wait long. At the anniversary celebration of Zhang Yang's law firm, celebrities from all walks of life were invited. As the former vice president of the company, I had long received the invitation. Even though I had left the company, I was still Zhang Yang's friend, so I definitely had to attend to celebrate. As a well-known law firm in the industry, the anniversary celebration was grand. I arrived at the banquet hall early to expand my network. Xia Heng and Song Chuxia arrived together. Although he was my boyfriend, we hadn't contacted each other since I left the company last time. Their target was obvious. They headed straight for Zhang Yang. I just stood there, holding a wine glass, watching from a distance. After a brief conversation, Zhang Yang politely nodded and turned to leave. Unexpectedly, Song Chuxia reached out to stop him and said something to him. Then Zhang Yang looked at me in surprise. I put down my wine glass and walked over. What's the matter, Mr. Lawyer? Zhang Yang looked at me somewhat helplessly. Miss Song said she wanted to tell me something about you that I didn't know. Is there anything you're hiding from me? I looked at Zhang Yang innocently. I don't think so. With our relationship, does Miss Song need to tell you anything? Xia Heng watched coldly as Zhang Yang and I talked back and forth. He said, Kiki, don't forget that I'm your boyfriend. You're flirting with Zhang Yang here. Do you even care about me? He didn't lower his voice when he spoke. Both of them were outstanding figures in the industry, and today was Zhang Yang's event. As the vice president of the company, I knew many people. All of a sudden, everyone's attention in the hall was drawn. I could even imagine the front page headlines. Tomorrow, Xia Heng, if we don't contact each other for 3 days, it's considered a breakup. When you were busy running around for Miss Song, did you completely forget that we haven't contacted each other for almost a month? Do you want me to show you what you've been doing this month? I looked at Song Chuxia and smiled lightly. Miss Song, I'm also very curious to hear what secrets you, a stranger, want to reveal about me to my friend. Xia Heng took a step forward. Pei Ku, don't go too far. Why bring Chuxia into our affairs? You bullied Chuxia in my office and slapped her face swollen. Shouldn't you apologize? This accusation was even more explosive than the previous one, Xia Heng said, seemingly compassionately. Chuxia has been heartbroken these days. She's only here today to hear your apology. Just apologize to her. I looked at the two of them expressionlessly. Truly, there's no limit to how shameless some people can be. 5. The banquet hall was in an uproar. In such a Vanity Fair, there were plenty of people eager to watch the drama, especially since this matter involved two well-known young talents in the industry. It was sure to attract attention in both the financial and gossip sections. Lawyer Zhang is stealing someone's partner. Mr. Xia has been cuckolded. Vice President Pei looks weak and delicate, but she's actually so violent. Fortunately, Mr. Xia exposed Pei Ku's true face regardless of his own reputation. Otherwise, if this vixen in the industry were let loose, who knows how many companies she would harm. For someone who wants to stay in society, such rumors are enough to destroy a person or a company. When Song Chuxia pretended to look pitiful and lowered her head, I straightened my back and smiled. Mr. Xia, when we were still in a relationship, you were flirting with Song Chuxia. Even after she slandered me, you still protected her. People who didn't know might think she was your girlfriend. I slightly turned my head to face Song Chuxia. Miss Song, did it feel good to order around the man I no longer want this past month? How about this? I don't need any compensation, just bow to me, and I won't pursue the matter of you being the mistress. Xia Heng's expression changed abruptly. As a powerful figure who had dominated the industry for many years in his previous life, his imposing manner silenced everyone around. Song Chuxia stood beside him, holding his arm, looking tearful. Kiki, what are you saying? I know you don't like me, but even if you bully me, why do you Have to treat your own boyfriend like this? Xia Heng beside her looked pained and said impatiently, Kiki, if you've done something wrong, you should apologize. But considering it was a misunderstanding, we won't pursue it for now. As long as lawyer Zhang can help Chuxia, we'll let this matter go. Ah, so this was their plan, knowing that it would take a long time to get Zhang Yang's help through normal channels. And since I had clearly refused to assist, they used this method to create a scene. At the law firm's anniversary celebration, forcing Zhang Yang to downplay the matter and tie him to their cause, I maintained a smile, calmly took out my phone, turned the volume to the maximum, and played a recording on the spot. Old Xia, sister-in-law isn't here today, and sister-in-law's family is in trouble. You can take care of her without holding back. Another person chimed in. Who's the elder and who's the younger isn't certain yet, right, old Xia? Ha ha ha, Xia Heng chuckled. Don't talk nonsense. Don't say such things in front of Pei Ku, she has a bad temper. And don't let Chuxia hear it, she'll be sad. The others agreed. We definitely know that. It's just that neither of the sisters-in-law is here. Xia Heng stared at me intently. When did you record this? I put away my phone. Guess. In my previous life, I didn't guard against them at all. I respected and loved Xia Heng deeply, even though I was sometimes annoyed by Xia Heng's excessive attention to Song. Chuxia, in my heart, he was always the person I trusted the most, but every time I complained, Xia Heng would use PUA on me. Chuxia is just a bit willful, but she has a good heart. It's really too much of you to think this way. Then he would ignore me for several days, claiming it was for me to reflect. I would finally break down under his cold treatment and apologize forwardly. At that time, I saw him through rose-colored glasses. I had followed him since graduation, although there were some twists and turns. Reaching where we were now, I respected and admired him both in work and in thought. His occasional tenderness also made me fall deeply in love, making me feel that it was extremely rare for such a domineering CEO to spare some attention for me besides work, which was enough to prove my importance in his life. Back then, with little experience, I'd always thought that was just his personality, that he was a workaholic who gave all his tenderness to me besides work. It wasn't until I saw Song Chuxia that I realized Xia Heng wasn't born cold-hearted. It was just that I wasn't the one he cared about. I once saw him get up early to make breakfast and deliver it to Song Chuxia's house, just because he was afraid she would have a stomachache from not eating properly. I also saw him anxiously cancel a meeting to pick up Song Chuxia on a rainy day when she was trapped while shopping outside and couldn't get back. I thought it was because he wanted to cooperate with the Song family. And because of their classmate relationship, it wasn't until I saw that Song Chuxia's father owed a huge debt and was on the verge of bankruptcy, yet Xia Heng was still running around for her, and all his tenderness towards me was just because I could help Song Chuxia. In my previous life, I was always trapped in this trap woven in the name of love. I wondered why Xia Heng was sometimes cold and sometimes warm towards me, and why he didn't stand firmly by my side when I complained. Only after being reborn did I understand. Not loving someone means simply not loving them. 6. With this recording and the chaos created by Xia Heng and Song Chuxia earlier, it was obvious to anyone with eyes that the old Xia in the recording was Xia Heng. The scene was silent for a moment, and then the whispers grew louder and louder. Even those who were a bit farther away couldn't hear clearly, but the people around them quickly pulled them aside and shared the news with excitement. Xia Heng and Song Chuxia lost all face. They didn't dare to mention anything else and left in a hurry. The situation was quickly turned around. Zhang Yang raised his glass and announced loudly, I believe in Vice President Pei's character. For those of you here who have had business dealings with Vice President Pei, I'm sure you have your own judgment. The anniversary celebration ended without major incident, and my reputation wasn't maliciously spread. When it was just Zhang Yang and me, he finally said seriously, tell me the truth. What's really going on? I immediately started complaining. Song Chuxia is Xia Heng's white moonlight. Maybe after being a young lady for too long, she's jealous of my smooth sailing. When she's down, she wants to smear me. I pretended to cry. It's bad enough that my ex-boyfriend doesn't believe me, and now my best friend is also questioning me. Zhang Yang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. All right, this matter is over for you. Just go about your business and ignore them. From now on, I wasn't convinced. Why should it be over just like that? A cold smile curled up on Zhang Yang's usually serious face. They should think twice before trying to scheme against me. Let's see what they're capable of. Finally, I felt at ease. Offending me might cause some trouble, but offending lawyer Zhang would mean being completely crushed. I heard that the two of them still went to Zhang Yang's law firm later. I don't know what Zhang Yang said to them, but now they don't bother me anymore and even go out of their way when they see me. I don't care. In fact, I've started openly clashing with Song Chuxia. Didn't she say I bullied her since she and her parents didn't dare to live in their house openly? I arranged for people to keep watch. As soon as there was any movement, I would immediately notify their debt collectors. In a society ruled by law, debt collectors couldn't go too far, but it was enough to keep them in constant fear. Just thinking about it makes me want to eat a big bowl of rice. I even deliberately waited on her way to see her make a fool of herself. Song Chuxia looked at me with venomous eyes, but she still gritted her teeth and apologized with tears in her eyes. Miss Pei, I'm sorry, I don't know what I did to offend you. Please spare me and my family. Okay. I looked at her innocently. Song Chuxia, do you have paranoia? I'm a law-abiding citizen. When I see something unfair, I just do a good deed. Song Chuxia was stunned. I raised my eyebrows. Did she think I didn't notice the video recording on her phone that she secretly started? I looked at her seriously and shook my head. Song Chuxia, remember to call the police if you have any problems. Randomly accosting an ordinary citizen like me isn't a good idea. By the way, you can ask Xia Heng for help. Then I walked away proudly. It felt so good. Of course, Xia Heng wanted to help, but he was powerless. After all, he had just given me more than 10 million yuan, and the company was about to go public. He simply didn't dare to get involved in this mess unexpectedly. Even though I didn't take the bait, Song Chuxia still had a trick up her sleeve. She posted a video online, of course, after some editing. First, it showed her distress from being chased by debt collectors, then her apology to me, and finally, my back as I walked away. At the end of the video, Song Chuxia's whole family appeared, crying and bowing. We're very sorry about this matter, but we're also victims. We've been deceived out of all our money. We won't run away. We will definitely take responsibility. Please give us a chance to live a normal life. The vulnerable and crying beauty not only didn't let the setback defeat her but also showed courage in taking responsibility. Song Chuxia quickly gained a lot of attention. As for me, I was criticized by thousands of people. Netizens called me the vicious back and flooded my social media accounts with attacks. I didn't back down. The day after the public opinion fermented, I immediately released the complete, unedited video. Come on, did they really think I waited for her without making any preparations? I also added a paragraph at the end of the video. I've been crying every day because of the harm she caused me. However, as a woman, I won't blame her. After all, some things are just a matter of coincidence and bad luck. I hope this matter ends here. Of course, it wouldn't end there. I'm waiting for them to make their next move. The public opinion reversed instantly. The hatred that was previously directed at me now rebounded onto Song Chuxia's family. Those who had been dragged into bankruptcy by them also came forward one after another to express their anger. Song Chuxia's family became like rats crossing the street, constantly on the run. Finally, Xia Heng couldn't sit still and came to find me. There were still half a month left before the company went public. I believed he must have come up with a story for Song Chuxia, otherwise she wouldn't have stayed out of the spotlight so far and avoided being linked to Xia Heng. Kiki, I didn't think things through before. I didn't consider your feelings and failed to protect you, but you blocked all my contact information. And didn't you agree to help Chuxia in the first place? Kiki, I don't know why you've suddenly changed so much. Although he ended with what seemed like a question, he also put on a wronged expression. My anger instantly surged. As his employee, I worked hard and conscientiously. As his girlfriend, I took meticulous care of his daily life, always putting his feelings first. He said he didn't want too many disagreements between us at work, so I gradually delegated power from the core departments like marketing and R&D in my hands. He said Song Chuxia had helped him a lot in high school, so I showed her my care and didn't mind her occasional little caprices. I just wanted to live a stable and happy life with him, but what I got in return was double faced betrayal and even framed me. Thinking of this, I didn't even want to maintain the basic decency between adults. I picked up the coffee on the table and splashed it at him. The people in the coffee shop were in an uproar. Before Xia Heng could react, I stepped forward, grabbed his tie, pulled him towards me, and slapped his face with both hands. His fair face immediately turned bright red. Strangely enough, the red marks on both sides were symmetrical, almost looking festive. I looked at Xia Heng and said, "You've been having an affair with Song Chuxia for a long time, right? Since you like her so much, why are you still with me? Could it be that she didn't fancy you, and you wanted to use me to work for you willingly? You're just as despicable as your selfish father." Xia Heng was originally so angry that he was about to lash out, but after hearing my last words, he could only stand there stiffly, unable to say a word. Xia Heng's father was good-looking and glib. When he was young, he abandoned Xia Heng and his mother and ran away with a rich woman. Xia Heng had always hated his father deeply. I pushed him hard back into his seat, then looked up at the people in the coffee shop and smiled. Sorry, I'm just teaching this scumbag a lesson. I apologize for the disturbance. Put everyone's bills on this scumbag's tab. Don't be shy. Unable to bear the humiliation, after seeing the crowd clapping while sighing, Xia Heng could only slink away to pay the bill. I called the waiter to clean up and continued to drink my coffee. Remembering my previous life, I wasn't completely oblivious. There were many clues, but I just chose to turn a blind eye. The recording played at the previous banquet was made at one of their class reunions. I still had some work to do at the company that day and initially decided not to go, telling him to go alone later. I finished my work ahead of schedule. Thinking that he might drink, I decided to pick him up when I arrived, just as I was about to push the door open. I heard several people teasing inside. Neither Vice President Payne nor Chu Xia is coming today. What a pity. Due to my habit of dealing with clients in the market, I instinctively turned on the recording function on my phone when I heard such sensitive remarks. Old Xia, sister-in-law isn't here today, and sister-in-law's family is in trouble. You can take care of her without holding back. Another person chimed in. Who's the elder and who's the younger isn't certain yet. Right, old Xia, ha ha ha, I waited for a while before. Hearing Xia Heng chuckle, don't talk nonsense. Don't say such things in front of Pei Ku, she has a bad temper, and don't let Chu Xia hear it, she'll be sad. The others agreed. We definitely know that. It's just that neither of the sisters-in-law is here. None of that is true. Xia Heng's tone was a bit strange. He didn't seem angry at all. Instead, there was even a hint of anticipation in his voice. The hand that was about to push the door slowly retracted. I wasn't sure if I should be angry. After all, before this, Xia Heng hadn't shown any special attention to other women, and he even denied it on this occasion, but I still felt uncomfortable. Looking back now, I realized that it was probably on this day that the news about Song Chuxia's father broke out, which was why she was absent from the gathering. I left quietly and stayed outside for a long time, listening to the recording over and over again. I told myself that it was just a bit of male banter. Xia Heng hadn't admitted anything, he just hadn't firmly denied it. I didn't stop listening until my phone ran out of battery, and then I drove home. I don't know when Xia Heng came back. After all, we didn't live together. During the year we were together, Xia Heng never once invited me to his place on his own initiative. He only stayed at my place occasionally. Xia Heng said he felt more at ease at my place. It wasn't until I saw a photo on Song Chuxia's Moments, which was taken at his home, when I asked tentatively. Xia Heng said it was just a casual gathering at his place after the party, and his classmates had insisted on coming over. I began to look at things with a more scrutinizing eye. I found lipstick in the passenger seat of Xia Heng's car, and the brand and shade were the ones Song Chuxia often used. Xia Heng said that after a party, he gave some people a ride home, and Song Chuxia was among them. She might have dropped it there and asked me to give it back to her next time I saw her. His attitude was so straightforward that I started to wonder if I was being too sensitive. Moreover, our wedding was on the agenda. If there was something wrong with Xia Heng's ability, there was no need for him to continue with the marriage. It wasn't until the eve of the wedding that I heard the two of them arguing. Song Chuxia said discontentedly, "You were the one who set the plan, now you want to back out." Xia Heng said irritably, "How could I back out? I'm just worried that this might affect our public image. We're already at this point. Is there any way back? Let me think about it. Don't act on your own." I was confused at the time and thought they were planning a surprise for me. Only now, looking back on these things, did I suddenly realize this was the truth. The baseless accusations against me, the sudden appearance of extreme fans, the hand that pushed me from behind, all these things pointed to the two of them not backing out. I wanted to laugh, but tears welled up first when Zhang Yang arrived. I had just dried my tears seeing my slightly red eyes. He sneered, still attached. I just silently took out my phone and showed him the content as he was reading. Zhang Yang gradually sat up straight after he finished reading. He asked cautiously, "What do you want to do?" I said softly, "I want him to regret ever meeting me." 9. After I resigned, I immediately invested in multiple industries and companies that would have great development in the future. The celebration banquet for Xia Heng's company's upcoming listing was held in a hotel that I had invested in. I was talking to the manager to get an update on this situation when I unexpectedly ran into Song Chuxia, who was dressed in all her finery. Gone were the previous embarrassment and fear. Song Chuxia now showed no signs of her former distress. After all, Zhang Yang wasn't the only good lawyer in the industry, and this case wasn't too difficult. As long as one was willing to spend money and put in the effort, it could be Easily resolved, not to mention with Xia Heng, who had been reborn. The reason he came to me before was probably because in the previous life, I was the one who solved the problem. He thought he could solve it easily this time and also smear me in the process. Pei Ku, do you think Xia Heng will still protect you? You bullied me for so long. Do you think I'm an easy target? I will return all the humiliation you gave me, and more. Song Chuxiao bluffed a lot, but I just gave her a look as if she were crazy, then turned to the hotel manager and said, remember to screen guests in the future, don't let people like her in, or others might get bitten and need rabies shots. Then, in front of her fierce glare, I left with a group of people. When I got home, as expected, I saw Xia Heng waiting at the door. I miscalculated. I've been so busy with various things recently that I forgot to move. Xia Heng silently followed me into the house, and we sat on the sofa, no longer holding back. Xia Heng said with certainty, you've been reborn too, right? I wasn't surprised that he could figure this out. After all, since I got the money, I hadn't tried to hide my actions. With such a drastic change in my attitude towards them and my preemptive investment in many industries that would thrive later, it wasn't hard for him to make the connection. So what? You know my methods. Even when I was at my lowest, I didn't let you off easily. You'd better keep your good classmate in line and stop her from attacking me all the time. After hearing my admission, Xia Heng seemed to relax. Kiki, I won't hold your previous actions against you, and you shouldn't interfere with what I'm going to do either. I looked at him warily. What do you mean? I've already sorted out Chuxiao's problem. I don't want you to target her anymore. I was confused. When did I target her? Today at the hotel. You not only insulted her but also stopped the preparations for the celebration banquet, aren't you? Being a bit petty, it suddenly dawned on me. So that's what she told you. That was close. I thought he knew something more. Xia Heng looked at me helplessly. I know you're still bitter about what happened in the previous life, but we just weren't meant to be. I only have eyes for Chuxia. I've already compensated you with money for what happened before. Stop making a fuss. There's no future for us. I looked at him in disgust. Since being reborn, I've been focused on my career, but since his rebirth, he's been obsessed with romance. I overestimated him. I stood up, opened the door, and motioned for him to leave. Not even wanting to say another word, Xia Heng sighed and got up to leave. When he was outside the door, he turned back as if he wanted to say something, but I slammed the door in his face. I wasted my meal today. I feel like throwing up now. 10. There was still a week left before Xia Heng's company went public. Knowing that I was the major shareholder of the hotel, they changed to another one. The press releases were already in the works, and Song Chuxia was ready to ring the bell with Xia Heng. She even sent me a message. Do you regret not holding on to Xia Heng? Let me tell you, Xia Heng has liked me since high school. I didn't expect he'd still be so infatuated with me after all these years. You were just an accident. All of this will ultimately be mine. Come to think of it, I really should thank you for all the hard work you did for me before in the previous life. I rang the bell with Xia Heng. I'm sure Song Chuxia was seething with jealousy now. All of this was hers. The highlight of her life was about to come, and she was extremely proud. I didn't reply to any of her messages. Instead, I posted these messages online with the title "The founder of a listed company cheats and kicks out his partner." I also submitted all the evidence I had to the China Securities Regulatory Commission. Xia Heng's company's IPO process was suspended 2 days before the scheduled listing. He was taken away for investigation. The company's finance director was someone I had promoted. When I left, I didn't plan to do anything at first. After all, in the previous life, the company went public smoothly, and everyone made a fortune. Since I was the legal representative of the company, the finance director didn't want to mess with me in this life. Since I left early and the company's listing had nothing to do with me, the finance director, anticipating that he would also be kicked out, quickly made a copy of the relevant documents and sent them to me. That's when I realized why Xia Heng made me the legal representative in the previous life and why he was so eager to push for the IPO when the products weren't fully developed. His real goal was to raise money fraudulently. The so-called industry-leading product performance indicators and impressive financial statements were all inflated, and I, as the legal representative, was set up to take the fall. Remembering what he said to Song Chuxia on the eve of the wedding, I won't back out. My hatred burned even stronger. Xia Heng topped several trending topics, both in the financial and entertainment sections. In an interview with reporters, I said firmly, Song Chuxia meddled in my relationship with Xia Heng. As a woman, I originally didn't want to make things difficult for her, but she kept pressing me, constantly smearing me. She used misleading video edits to confuse the public and privately humiliated and slandered me. I couldn't take it anymore. So I decided to speak out. Regarding the issues with Xia Heng's company, after obtaining the evidence, I simply did what a responsible citizen should do. I hope everyone will focus more on the legality and compliance of this matter rather than on me personally. Thank you all. After that, I left with Zhang Yang's escort. I won't interfere in Xia Heng's affairs anymore. I'll leave everything to the law. He will receive a fair trial. And I will have an even brighter future. When I came out of the elevator, Song Chuxia suddenly rushed out and was about to stab me with a knife. I turned around, and the bodyguard behind me immediately stepped forward and kicked her flying. I quickly called the police. While waiting, I looked at the person who seemed crazy and said, "Do I look like such a stupid person?" I was indeed stupid in my previous life, but now I'm Niu Kalu Pei Ku. Since Xia Heng was arrested and Song Chuxia went missing, I've been on guard against her. Xia Heng wasn't surprised at all when I readily agreed to help him. After all, I've always put his needs first. And this, it seemed that Song Chuxia had also been reborn. Great, this would make the revenge even more satisfying. I looked down at her and said, "You forgot that even when I died in the previous life, you didn't have a good life either." She was so angry that her whole body trembled, and she pushed me away forcefully with her hand. She still had the knife in her hand, and I didn't ask the bodyguard to take it away. Song Chuxia was taken away by the arriving police, and I was also taken to the ambulance. She was charged with attempted murder, lying in the hospital bed. I listened to Zhang Yang sitting beside me scolding, "Look at you, who am I? Once she rushed out and tried to hurt you. She couldn't escape legal punishment. Why did you do something unnecessary?" While eating the fruit, I directed Zhang Yang to continue peeling the apple and said, I know, I just wanted to make sure everything was foolproof. If Song Chuxia had just rushed out and didn't cause me any harm, she might have been released after being detained for 2 days. But stabbing me, and with the surveillance footage showing that she stabbed me on purpose, that's a completely different matter. Hearing my perfunctory words, Zhang Yang could only give up. When I was discharged from the hospital, I received a request from Xia Heng to meet me, and I went. Xia Heng looked much more haggard and was no longer as high-spirited as he was in the previous life. I looked at him indifferently and said, "I didn't expect you to still want to see me." Xia Heng smiled self-deprecatingly. "I didn't expect you to agree to come either. I just want to apologize to you. I'm sorry for so many things." "Oh, I know you did all this because you wanted me so much." Xia Heng took a deep breath and said with great patience, "If I say that I won't have any contact with Song Chuxia anymore, can you ask Zhang Yang to defend me? I will definitely change my ways and we can live a happy life together in the future. I regretted coming here." I smiled and, under Xia Heng's expectant gaze, said, "You really are pushing your luck. Who gave you the courage to think that I would still be infatuated with you?" A flower behind bars. "The last time I asked you to leave, it was because I was afraid that I would vomit if I said one more word. Now I realize that I was wrong. Why should I make myself feel sick just to make you feel good? I'll tell you one last time clearly. Do you think you're worthy of being with me?" I stood up and was about to leave, then quickly added, "It's really hard for you to contact Song Chuxia now. After all, she's also in prison. As for where exactly, I don't know." I didn't bother to look at Xia Heng's devastated expression or care about his reaction upon hearing about Song Chuxia. These despicable people will surely be punished by the law, and I will also have a brighter future.